Hey, good evening, everybody. We're live on Tuesday, the 17th at 10, 2017. And so far with us on the panel, we have Patricia UK, Ceres Holland, and we have Stan UK. And Stan has joined us because he's going to talk about his research and his 360 camera. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we all?
We're okay. So, Stan, you were showing us some very interesting things before we came on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to still organise them. 1 second.
Just saying hello to people in the chat room.
Yeah.
Everybody's fine.
I see everyone there. Hello, everyone in the chat room.
Hello from us and Stan.
Right.
Oh my goodness, more people coming in. I can't keep up with the people in the chat room saying hello.
Yeah.
It's good. Come in, everybody. More cats. That's everybody now at the moment.
All right.
Right.
So, this
picture and a half.
Yeah, this picture, I got sent this a couple of days back, and it sort of really summed it all up for me. I sat there looking at it for a while, and you know, in this picture, there's something majorly wrong, and it's dead simple. It's dead giveaway what's wrong, you know. But this is the way that everything's going. You can have all the pieces of the puzzle, but if you don't put them together, you'll never achieve the goal. You know. I don't know what anyone thinks of this picture in the chat, you know.
Yeah, what do people in the chat room think about this picture? What does it show for them?
Takes them a minute to catch up, doesn't it?
It does. Well, yeah, they've both got what each other need, and they haven't noticed it. That's what that tells me.
P900, take down the fence. Division camp.
Right, well, the chat room says, J-Lo says divided camps. Mark says non-cooperation, no sailing.
So this is exactly it. They've got all the pieces.
Take down the fence.
This is it. You've got the pieces there to achieve what they want to achieve. But their fence is stopping them achieving their goal. So we need to take down the fence, you know. Everyone needs to just get along. Try and just get along. You know, you don't have to like someone to tolerate them and talk to them and to listen to what they have to say. But yeah, goes to this. the Berlin Wall. Even that wall came down. That one was an actual wall. So if you can take down that wall, any wall, you know, an imaginary wall is easy to take down. But just this week, I've just seen far too much wall building, you know.
You mean in flat Earth itself?
Yeah, like if we're gonna progress and achieve what we're wanting to achieve, then we can't have walls and divide. It's like you said, didn't you, Ceres? You said a minute ago, we're all on a level plane.
Yeah, equal foot, equal plane. That's what Aaron yesterday said about on top of the world works only on the globe. And on the plane, we're all on an equal plane. there's only equality and no difference in there.
Yeah, but some people think that there are other agendas going on, and some people believe that what they're doing is right, and they need to do this and they need to do that, and all I see is it's drama.
Yeah, it's not getting us anywhere.
Kind of the irony are more equal than you. You know, there is only equality.
Yeah, we all breathe the same air. We're all equal. There is no greater man.
Well,
Just man and woman.
And the objective for all this right now was flat Earth, wasn't it? Or the spiritual realm and finding the truth.
Yeah, for me, it's just about finding the truth. I will talk to anyone about their models and ask them questions and try and figure out if it's right or wrong. Because, like we keep saying, there is no one model that's showing 100% at the minute. That's what we're trying to achieve. Otherwise, what are we all doing? You know, there is a goal to be. Well, my goal is to work it out. You know.
It just seems to me, I think what's happened is that everybody, not everybody, but I'll just say everybody because I can't. They think that they're a flat earther, and maybe they are to a degree, but they're still running from a globe head life in their head. And they have to change the globe head life in their head. It's not just saying you're a flat earther or researching. This is about being a different person than you were before, a better person than you were before. It's all about spirituality and coming together, and a lot of it's just to do with egos and he said, she said. It's just, ugh.
That's it. It just needs to leave that at the door. Let's have a conversation and figure some stuff out, you know. Drama doesn't get you anywhere, does it? This fence gets us nowhere.
That's what I'm proud about this group for, because that's what we don't do. We come in and we do the bits we've got to do, and along the way, a lot of us have become better friends through it, because we respect each other. We listen to each other and respect each other, and know that the part that like Stan's doing is really as important as what Ceres is doing or anybody else is doing right now. It's a puzzle. And we've got all these people here right now.
Everyone's playing their part, you know.
Everybody's a piece of the same puzzle.
Yeah. We're all sat on this island together, basically.
And the good thing is that even though we're all different, we know that that's cool. We know that's right. You know, I shouldn't be doing what Stan's doing. Stan shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And we don't have to argue about that.
That's the thing. That's it. Look, this bloke built the front of the boat, and this bloke built the back of the boat. But they're two. They can't put them together because of this fence. So this is like the sky, and this is the land. You know, and you have to put them together to figure out what's going on. And it's with everyone. You have to just forget about it. You know, come together.
Without saying too much, you know, people are trying to use sun and moon to do it. When they think they don't like something, splash all this out. It's just getting ridiculous. I wish people would just get on with what they were here for, to help flat Earth. And I'm so proud of what we've managed to do and get everybody together and try and make this community and a chat room and people, and it's all about the people. You know, I don't think it's about me, it's about the people, it's about all of us. It's about Stan and Ceres and Thrive and Survive and Mark Sargent and the chat room and Z Proxy and FPV. That's what it is to me.
It's everyone.
Getting us together, working out a way forward. This lot are having to become like scientists. That's what it's like, almost.
Well, we're not going to get told the truth. We have to work it out ourselves. That's one thing we do know. You know, they're not going to come along all of a sudden and just go, "Yeah, you're all right." I'll tell you what.
There are several mysteries to be solved.
Yeah, they're not just going to come out and tell you. And even if they did, I wouldn't believe it. You know. Now it's down to all of us lot to work it out. Otherwise, it ain't going to get worked out, basically.
And the nice thing is that, well, I mean, like separate in the Stan knows what he's doing, and I know what I'm doing. And then we come together and we do this. And yeah, we'd like it all to stop, really. It's all ridiculous out there.
They just need to break that wall. You know, it's only an imaginary wall. It's not even physical. It's just an imaginary wall put there, and it's all, you know. They're not going to want us to all unite and work this out, and that's why they keep putting these divides in. So, you know, just forget about it. If you're truly trying to figure out the truth, forget about everything. Just concentrate on what you're doing. Really, that's what I see it. Too much divide.
And hopefully everybody sees that as a group we're a non-drama group for that reason. That doesn't mean we don't talk about things, but we keep things to ourselves. And because the goal is much more important. We're aware of things, whatever, but we just don't need all the drama.
Yeah, the public show. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought we'd get that out of the way first, and then we can move on.
And also it's getting to know each other. I know that the chat room can't get to know it like us, like maybe the panel or the people that come on the panel. But, you know, the people on the panel, like when they're on with Santos, for instance, they've been so touched on those hangouts. People on that hangout are just so touched. So it's about coming together the best way we can. If it's in the chat room, emailing, got experiments to show us, got information for Stan, listen to the hangouts, it's all part of it. Coming together, it's just, yeah, it's a really sad state at the moment. Out there, not us, but out there, everybody's arguing.
So you just need to leave all that at the door. We'll get a lot more done without it, you know. But yeah, that's enough about that now.
Okay, Stan.
Better things. So let me close that. Yeah, I'll show you what I've been doing today. Quick, this is something that had to be done. It's been taking me a little while to figure out what's what and where everything is, but I'll just share so you know, in case someone else wants to help, have a go at it, see if they can crack a few videos that I can't. This is what I've been doing today. And this is the 360 altitude footage that me and Z Proxy have been looking at, and Cosmic Surfer. So we've been trying to work out the GPS coordinates for each camera, because obviously they don't, with these YouTube videos, they're just put up. And if you're lucky, they might say the rough location and where they are. So I've been going through, trying to look at bits of interest on the ground, basically. Like this one had all the round fields and curved fields and whatnot. So from this, I managed to find this, which is giving me the coordinates of that camera over the land.
Whoa.
Did take me about 30 minutes to work that one out, but I did this one was the trickiest. This is in the Arizona desert. So I'm looking at this thinking, right, there's a little road here or something, and there's a dirt track here and a bit of dark here and some mountains and some crossroads. And when I turned the camera, because obviously this is a 360, you can look around, I noticed there was like a little solar farm just to the edge here. So then from that, I managed to find the location. I knew it was in the desert somewhere, but the other one...
And whereabouts on that picture do you reckon it is then?
What, the camera?
The bit when you... Yeah.
Well, there's the coordinates there at the bottom. So that's where that camera is, at that. You follow? It's at that point on the map. So now I
Yeah.
can pinpoint where that was on the land. Because it's all right having the video, but if you don't know where it was, it's useless to you. Because you need to know which part of the land it was over to then...
How long did that take you to do?
Pardon?
How long did that take you to do?
This one was about an hour to work this one out. This one was real tricky. I nearly gave up. I've given up on 3 of them already and moved on because I just thought I'm wasting my time looking at them. But someone else might look at them
So you're really pleased about this one, yeah? Really pleased about it.
See the footage, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't give up because I thought, well, there's a landmark. You know, there was a solar farm here, and then there was bits. So I thought, you know, I can recognise this. So that's why I didn't give up, because this was what I was looking at. And I was thinking, well, there's that road, there's this, you know, there's. So yeah.
It'll be lower, indeed.
Yeah, so what I do, I go on Google and just set it at roughly the same altitude as what they said the balloon was at, and then just start moving it around and looking and just trying to work it out where it was. But yeah, I found out 3. This one was the easiest. This was a Stoke-on-Trent in the UK. But, like from that, got that. That's what I've been doing today. There is a playlist on my channel now if anyone wants to go and try and find some coordinates. It's good. Like, it is quite good fun, some of them. So that's what I've been doing today.
You have a balloon playlist?
Yeah, it's altitude playlist. It's from Z Proxy. I'll put it in the... Let me see if I can get it up quick.
Is that something you're going to put in the chat room then, or?
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the YouTube quick. Just trying to find it though. You see Proxy's playlist, but all of the original footage is in the description, so you just have to click on each video and then click in the description to find the original video. And from the original video there is the odd bit of information on where it roughly was. But yeah, some of them are really tricky. I just gave up on a lot of them straight away. I looked at them and thought, oh, there's no way I'm going to solve that one. All looks the same. Move on. So... I've actually made a couple more videos today, but I haven't had a chance to upload them yet to YouTube because I've been busy uploading 360 stuff. So there will be a couple more little 360 VR videos that will be going up very soon. And then I also filmed the 360 spacewalk today in the VR with the overlay, just so you can properly see how they messed it up so bad. Can't find anything. I've seemed to have lost loads of stuff. Yeah, that's this one. I was filming this today in the VR, and then when you do see this in the VR, it is good when you put the overlay on it. It does all line up. Yeah. It looks right. You know what Z Proxy done with that? It is looking absolutely right. Yeah. we still haven't got any more footage of the moon in 360. We still need people to collect more data. It's just not happening. I keep searching, I can't find it. You know, I must spend an hour a week just having a look. I can't find none. No new stuff. I just when you search for it, if you put in last week, you know, so it just brings up the last week's worth of uploads. There's just nothing new. So we need some more of that. People need to actually get a 360 and get it mounted. I think Vincent P's going to be doing it from Holland soon, so that'd be a good one to get. Mark Ofsky, he's been out filming the moon with his P900 as well. I've noticed that.
Thanks, Mark.
So there is the odd few people are starting to do bits, but we need more for this to go anywhere. At the minute, we're just waiting on data. Yeah, just
Amazing.
It'd be good once we get what we need. Once we have everything we need, we can build a model, you know, with all the moon, the stars, everything. And as you move across, it will work, you know. But we can't do it without the data. Like, we could just fake it all, but we don't want
To know how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point faking something. We want to know exactly how it works. It's like I said before, people can do this anonymously. They can just send us footage. It's so easy to collect this data. I've been collecting it now for about 10 months. This is just 14 days of my cheap camera. But that's enough to tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, and these are all out of 360 time-lapse videos.
Yeah, time
Turned
lapse.
into a single image.
Yeah, overlaid. Each track is one evening, like one night or one passing of the moon, we'll say. And it just jumps up every day, jumps to the next one, jumps again. Obviously, this is
only half of the circle, and the other half is the one making the rest of the move you don't see.
Yeah, when you see this in a VR headset, it's something else. That's the other thing. Everyone needs to get the VR headsets really to keep up. But this is how it, you know, this is how it all starts. That's about 3 hours, I suspect, of tracking. They don't even know they're tracking. All they've done is put a camera out and just push record for a bit. And we rotate the image and work out latitude, and from the timestamps, longitude. This is so simple. You know, it took us a while to work it all out, but now we know it's easy. It's like anything, when you know how to do it, it's easy. This is my one again, but this is how it looks to when you're stood up on the roof. Each image is a full 360, so they wrap around. And then there's South Africa. So that's England. That's South Africa. Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere.
With your flip thing.
Just flips. Looking north, the red line, the red dot's north, the blue dot's south. So if we were looking at one moon in the sky and it was traveling around me in the north, traveling around the north, say the center here, and it, you know, spinning around in the south, you would see this. It would go from up there, round and back out the top. But it doesn't. It does what it does in the north.
It's kind of how Time and Date website turns that circle also. It flips like a three-dimensional circle. If you go to south and go to north.
Did you see a video I put on the other day, Stan? It's about this guy who reckons it's a simulator we're looking at, but when you're looking at the footage, you can see that the sun is going into the ground. Do you want us to play that video?
Yeah, you can do.
Okay. Just let me find it. Carry on talking and I'll go and find it.
Yeah, knowledge without understanding is useless. So if you don't understand what you're looking at, then how are you going to work out what it's doing, where it's going, how it's behaving? It's the thing. That's why I say to everyone, you need to get the VR headset, because then you can get an understanding of this moon, what it's doing. So this is my camera. Up on my chimney. Nothing special. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to be able to do this stuff, you know. Just anyone can go out and do this. I have to climb out my window to go and do this, but I do it because I want to know. And then you just use you don't have to use a laptop. You can just use the camera. The camera can do it all on itself, all on its own. But I like to see what's going on and make sure that it's still running, because obviously I can't go out on the roof well, I could, but I don't want to, so I use a laptop.
It's just a Bluetooth connection?
Wi-Fi, that one, but the other one, yeah, the Samsung's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, I believe. But this is that cheap camera that I've been using for about 10 months. And you can get these now for like 50 quid.
Oh, they're getting cheaper.
Yeah, they're so cheap. They basically, you know, just... Well, you can buy 10 of them for the price of a P900. And then these ones now, these were... Samsung were doing a deal on them the other week when they were $88. So it's, you know, dirt cheap. And then this is the Gear VR to view it all back. But you need your phone. Your phone clips into this. And your phone becomes a screen. But we've just heard that Samsung are going to be releasing just a headset with a built-in screen for the Oculus, so it will do everything that this does, but you won't need the phone, and it will be around $200, we believe. Obviously, they're not out yet, so not confirmed, but that's the news.
Well, I've got the video now. Play this, please.
I'm not sure.
Oh. Do I have to play it?
I don't know if I have the bandwidth. Let me try.
I'll stop sharing for a sec.
I'm not. Just be interested what it is. I don't know. Just watch it and see. I just saw it and thought, whoa, this guy seemed to know what he was talking about.
Oh, the worst quality ever.
See if it plays on the.
Yeah. My download is slower than my upload.
Really?
Shall I play it?
Yeah, it's incredibly slow here, and quality is nothing anymore.
I'll play it. Just hope that mine works okay. Oh, dearie me, see technology today. Right, there we go. I'm going for the share.
And a very warm welcome if you just joined me on my channel. Nice to be on things. How you doing? Keeping it. Hope everybody's safe and sound where you are. Misty forward south, 196 degrees. Data.
You've got the problem now, right?
Yeah. Barely stoppable.
And then on me.
Not. Oh yeah. There you go.
Right. So just let me share my. We're getting there, guys. Sorry about this.
Internet's slow tonight, and everything. My computer's real laggy as well today because I've been doing so much on it. I think.
What am I doing?
Somebody damaged my phone line or something.
Right. So everybody can see that now, then.
Make it a full screen, like click and make that a big screen, so you're not showing all the YouTube page.
Yeah, come on then. Now I've got a problem. My computer's lagging. No, come on.
It's just not
I'll get rid of that for now. Yeah, it will. I've got rid of that one. Ah, we're here now. We're getting there, guys.
Gonna hear the modem kicking in a minute. Yeah, the old dial-up.
I'm just gonna play it like this because I don't know if my computer will take a full screen.
And a very warm welcome if you just joined me on my channel. Nice to be on things. How you doing? How you keeping? I hope everybody's safe and sound where you are. Misty forward south, 196 degrees. Date of video is Tuesday, 8th of August, 2017, 10:34. We're looking at the FA8 Alaskan cams yet again, and they're producing some outstanding images. Some things need to be shown, and that is one of these times. Let's click through the pictures and have a look at what we're getting. We've got this shaft of light, and this says to me that this is running through a lensing system. Every time I see this, we get a diffusion of light or a shaft of light or whatever it might be. You might like to argue about that, but that's your entitlement. We've got this milky sort of cloudy thing that appears and gets brighter and brighter. This is part of the lensing system being reflected actually onto the camera lens. Let's click onto the next picture. And you can see that the sky is starting to get redder and redder. Let's flip through the pictures to see what comes up. And you can see that this chemtrail, maybe it translates onto the video, but maybe it doesn't. It seems to be getting quite red, as you can see there. But it's for you to decide, is there an object in the sky? I think you might change your mind very, very shortly. And then we get this. Now, if we could see this, this would be all over social media. People would be taking videos. This is not a lens flare. This is actually a projected image. And you can see it's travelling down. And it always seems to be in the same place every time you find it. But yeah, it becomes a little bit more defined. And it is the best image that I've seen. I've caught this many times in my videos. And yeah, it is spinning. Yeah, let me show you. This is not a object that we can see. This is an object that's being put through a lensing system to hide it, and somebody made a possibly on our favour. Were they trying to let us know because they knew exactly what was going to happen? The clouds are very, very red, and this object is spinning. It's just one of those things that needs to be shown. And there you go, it's starting to disappear. And yet again, I've got to reiterate that this can't be seen in the sky. This can be picked up by a camera. This isn't the lens flare. This is a projected image. It goes through a lensing system, and the camera is receptive enough just to pick it up. Everything just marries up, and hey presto. If you could imagine 7 billion people having a bad day by looking at a red object in the sky, you know that there's something going on. You don't need to, unless you're living in a cardboard box, you know that there's something going to happen. When this object appears in the sky, you make your own minds up. I might say, the world's a very, very bad place at the moment. And here's a zoomed in version. What are we looking at, really? You've got to ask yourself. It's got detail on it. And then we look at this one. It's got pot marks all over it. Or is this a planet? Is this an object? What is it? Is this red Kachina? Is this a Dyson sphere? And it's spinning, rotating, whatever you like. One thing I can definitely tell you, it's very, very strange, and it shouldn't be on camera. That's all I've got for you. Much peace, and I'll catch you next time. Take care. I think you can agree that is a stunning picture. Anyway, getting back to the video, this is how you can find the videos that I'm going to show you. Toronto Peak, I'm going to take for instance. We're going to go down and we can have a look. We've got north, east, west and south. We've got different type of pictures there, and you can click on those and have a look. But animations is the one that you want. Pick the dates, and they're all on 21st and approximately Q6 and Q7. Right, let's have a look at the details of the clip before we start. 2017, August 21st, time is 15:01. Each picture is approximately 2 minutes. That might vary from camera to camera. We're going to be looking at 6 different clips and working our way through. This is the least strangest, and well, you make your own mind up. High Point West, and the first thing I must point out is this big chemtrail haze in the background. You can see the chemtrails, and you get particulates flying through the sky when I start the video, and you'll notice there's a big explosion just underneath our sun simulator. And when I click on this, you'll get to see exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll slow it down just a little bit. Boom, boom. And we see a little bit of interaction going on there. And every time I see these, I see a lensing system. And we've got this object over here. You could actually say it's a smudge on the screen, but you judge for yourself. In every single clip, we get to see this object here. Is this a planet? Is that reflection of that just there? Not rightly too sure. Is this a reflection, projection? It is not a lens flare. We're talking about lens flares, but that's absolutely gorgeous there. sun simulator, and you can see there's a little bit of interaction going on here, but not really too sure what that is at all. And you can see the lensing system just there. Yeah, it's quite nicely in the sunset with a glorious explosion of colour. Let's pull us west. You can see controls flying through the sky, and this gets a little bit stranger. You have the explosion here. You've got a lensing system that's up here to the left-hand side. Yeah, you get the same sort of lens flare going on here, but it's actually through this time. I'll just want to show you this object here. We've seen this object before, I do believe we have, and we'll investigate that a little bit further. But this is quite interesting. The way that just disappears into the background and pixelates just there. Very, very odd, but that's for another video. Otay Mountains West, and we still got that obfuscation in the background with chemtrails flying past, but this one, oh, look at that. This looks like this is interacting with our sun simulator. We've got this red object around the outside, another object around the outside of that. And the best bits, what I'll do is analyse at the end of the video. And I've got something very, very important to show you, so stick around for that one. Obfuscation in the background, Red Mountain West, and I've slowed this down and I've put it on fast forward, forward and reverse. And we've got the object underneath there, and you're looking at yourselves now going, what is really going on? Yeah, I'm not rightly too sure what's happening there, but I've got my theories and I'll show you in a second. And it looks like there is a massive big object just behind the sun simulator, something over here, and yeah, what a lovely picture of our lens. Yeah, quite interesting. I think you totally can agree. And our sun goes sitting into the background with the big explosion of colour in the background, if that makes any sense. Chemtrails flying through the air, Black Mountain West, and here you go. I find it interesting. And here you go. We have something that seems to be just there. We've got this pink object that's there, and on this camera we get to see an object behind the sun, or the sun simulator. Now, is this visible? I'm not rightly too sure. Is this being obfuscated by lenses? Is this a projection? Or is it just that the camera is so sensitive it can pick it up? Well, that's for you to decide. But I can tell you one thing, it shouldn't be on camera. That's for sure. I'm going to stop the video just here, and Lions Peak West, what a clip. We need to look at this. And if you go over to Jeff P's channel, he's talking about these black objects that we get to see on our screens, and there's a line down there, very, very ominous. I'm not really too sure what it is. You can judge for yourself, but something quite strange happens, and it looks like somebody lifts a shield up, or yeah, whereabouts in the sky, or what it is, I'm not rightly too sure, but we're looking at this object here. And yeah, that is right in anybody's book. I'm going to stop it there. We've got our pink object there. We've got another object there. And we seem to have another object here. And we've got this line running down here. Chemtrails in the background, like it's gone out of fashion. And just here, there looks like there seems to be a bit of interaction going on. And yeah, you make your own minds up. What I've got to tell you at the end of the day is, for us to see something like this that interacts with our sun and sun simulator, that means there must be something there on camera. There can't be nothing that interacts with our sun and sun simulator. And you're going to still argue about this black dot in the center, which I'm going to show you very, very shortly, something that I've discovered even further. But yeah, to argue that there's nothing there, and to look at what you see down to you, it's simple. Somebody throwing a ball in the air that's been there for the last 5 hours. or it could be somebody playing football, or you know, if you don't believe in planets or whatever coming in, you've got to ask yourself, what is this? Anyway, let's analyse some of the previous footage and see what I found and come up with, and then we're going to talk about this black dot in the middle of the sun, which is our sun simulator, and I now think I have definitive proof of that. Red Mountain West is the bit of footage I would like to analyse, and I think it's outstanding. I've caught this object before, I do believe, and you can see the interaction from the bottom to the top, and that's right, because, and backwards, and then forwards. And what we're going to do is freeze the frame in a minute and stick the clip into a PaintShop Pro program, and there you go. We adjusted the brightness and colour, and this reminds me of an object that I caught about 2 months ago, Friday the 30th September 2016, Cape Fanshawe, South East. Leave a link in the description for that. I do believe that this at the time was a projected image. So if you look at this image and you look at the other image, they look identical near enough, and I believe that this is the same object, but this was back in 2016, 10 months ago. This object I made a video about, is that a red planet in the sky? And if this is a lens flare of the sun, which I don't believe is a lens flare, I think it's a projected image, it looks very, very strange. Yellow one side, blue the other side, and it looks like it's got plasma tails coming off it. I'm looking at this object here. Is this the same as the last one that we caught? They look very, very similar, and this come in at a very, very last moment. So if we look at all three images, are they the same object? Is that at all possible? One last thing I've got to show you is Lions Peak West before we talk about the sun simulator and what I've discovered with the LED. Last time I saw this, I made a video about it. It was called Sun Jumps in the Sky, Hologram Sky, or Clouds. And this is exactly what it reminds me of. What we're looking at here, I'm not really too sure, but we get to see what looks like a shield lifting up, or what is going down, or really not really too sure what's going on. And it produces this image just here. And yeah, you've got to ask yourself what is going on, and we seem to have two objects just here. And if we take a close look, it seems like it's got dots around the outside, and there seems to be an object just here. In a video I made called Projected Sun and LED Simulator, I was talking about if I put a black and white filter on here, what happened. And let's have a look. As you can see, we've got our black mark on the sun, or sun simulator. I believe this is an LED device, and many people have tried to tell me and tell you this is a CMOS overload. So if we stick a black and white filter on it, what we should get is black and white, and we don't actually get black and white, we get a ring around our LED bank. And yeah, it should be black because it's black. At the end of the day, what a filter does is decode the information that it's given, and obviously the information that's embedded in there is two different colours, and that is really good for us. So if we change the filter and reverse the image, what we get is exactly the same image but reversed, but one thing doesn't change, is the colour of the centre of the LED banks. Now, if I take all the filters away and put it into a negative image, you can see that this image absolutely changes 100%, and we get this white object in the centre, as we should do from a colour image. When I change and put another filter in, this is exactly what happens. And this filter here is called Color Sketch. It only does what it's supposed to do, and the most amazing thing about it, we can actually see the center of this object spinning. Los Pinos West, and that's what we're going to look at next. I've put a color filter on there, it's called Color Sketch, and you can see that it doesn't pixelate absolutely everything, it just pixelates the bits and pieces and makes it into a sketchy sort of like, yeah, you can see. So when we get to see something like this as it comes through the sky, it should tell you that this is man-made. This is not real in any way, shape or form. This is not a camera overload. You can see it spinning. Yeah, you know, you try and debunk what you're seeing, and there you go. At the end of the day, it's meant to be a black spot, but when you put a filter on it, it shows us that it is coloured in the middle. Not only is this object coloured, but it's also rotating as it goes through the sky. It can't be the filter that's doing it, because that can't be programmed to do something it's not recognising. So obviously, if it's recognising something, that means that the centre of this object is a different colour, and it has colours in it, as you can see. And for me, this just proves that this is the sun simulator. This is the LED sun simulator spinning through the sky. 100% proof to me, but it's for you to make your own ones up. For me, I'm just pointing out what I see, and what I see is wrong. It's not necessarily correct, but what you've got to remember, whether the volcanoes and all the other little bits and pieces, the earthquakes and the world in general, how it's all going, it just reminds me of a film, The Day After Tomorrow. Anyway, much love, much peace, and I'll catch you next time.
Mm.
I was going to say that last.
What I wonder with this simulated sun, where's the original?
Well, that last bit just looked like a star, didn't it? When he said it was like turning and he was doing that, it just reminded me of a star, you know.
Yeah, like just a very bright one.
Yeah.
What did you think about the simulator sun bit?
I don't think it is a simulate, like not simulated by man, you know.
Yeah, there's at least.
You think we're just finding out how it works, really?
Yeah.
This is how this thing works. What do you think about how the sun went up and down, and like it did go into the ground, and then the sun went so far and then it just disappeared?
Yeah, if you present this is what I've got off of my card this week. This was the 29th of September. And see the sun breaking through the clouds.
Big red line in the top.
Where it's just at the right thickness. You know, the clouds, you could track the sun quite nicely, you know. But the sun and the moon, all the planets, they're all in that band I keep showing. They're all doing the same thing.
Sun, moon, and planets.
Hmm. But I'll get there. There's a weird glare on. I'll let you see it here on this one. If I click this one. That's it. Doesn't mean that there's something here, here though. It's just how the camera's reacting to the sun.
Oh, there's the other side. Oh.
Yeah. So that's a 360. So
Yes, the inside of the glass, I guess.
no, you see it.
Yeah.
It's exactly opposite. So you can use this as a indication where the sun is, but it's not ideal. Really, you want to be filming the sun. You watch it set.
See.
Crazy, isn't it? The chemtrails. We get chemtrails real bad here in England. Seems every day is chemtrail day. So yeah, I've got I must have about another 15 videos to go now, and it's still running today. So there's today's one as well to go. I've got a whole folder to upload. Been working my way through, and I think I'm up to the 5th or 6th now of this month. So I've got a few more vids to go before I've caught up. So obviously where the moon was up, I've just left it on. Whereas tonight, there's no moon at the minute, so I could go up there and turn it off and then download it to my phone rather than getting the chip out.
Whoa.
Well, look, you're just about to see it set, and then the sun come up. Then I shouldn't have jumped there. It's just gone down now, and the sun will do exactly the same. So here comes that glare again. Yeah, this was a £50 camera, and I managed to work out what the sky was doing using a £50 camera. Well, tell a lie, you could have, it needed 3 £50 cameras to work it out, because you couldn't have done it from one location. You needed to see what it was doing elsewhere. But now we know how it's working. We can model, you know, make a working model with all of the sky, the stars, the sun, the moon, everything. But there's that thing again. There is nothing there. It's just the glare from the sun.
Whoa. Spinning.
It's crazy, isn't it? When I first saw it, I was like, whoa, what's that? But then, yeah, you can use that to work out where the sun is, but you have to flip it afterwards. They're just up there, look, the clouds. Not far, they're literally just there. You can touch them. My mate actually did a really good video the other day. He went out with his drone and sent it up above the clouds. And I thought that was really good, because it was a real crappy day, and when he went up above, it was lovely. See the sun up there. It's just like looking out across the sea. You know? Look at all the chem. Get so many chemtrails. It's everywhere now.
Today it was a dust air, completely orange sky.
Today we didn't like. It's just like soup all day. Didn't see this, you know. Didn't see past the soup. It was like this. just thick.
I didn't even see clouds. It was just one orange sky.
What, yours?
Really smooth. Yeah.
It was like that here. Yeah, this was yesterday. Or it might have been, hang on. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Kind of that cool.
Yeah, it was horrendous. The sun was red when it did come through. It was like this. You just about see it there. And then it went real funny, like amber, everything. I was like, whoa, it's going to be the end of the world or something. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a massive storm was about to happen, but then just nothing came of it, you know. Today I've been looking out and there's been hardly any movement today. It's just been dead still out there. Just so much for that big storm that they said we were going to have.
Yeah, you could see in the predictions already that it would, as soon as it hit land, it would dissipate immediately. It just took a lot of dust out of Africa, apparently.
I think it's to do with them wildfires as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what they're telling people, you know. That's why the sky's so bad. It's like, I'm not really convinced. But this is how it was today, just like this. Just thick, soupy sky all day.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and it kept on flashing like that yesterday. It's just a real surreal day yesterday, all day. I do have the 360 as well, but I've got to get around. So I'm up to the 6th at the minute, 6th of October, so I'm getting there. It's just crazy. How people think it's normal is just beyond me. I actually got sent a link before I come on to Math Powerland, and he's in a car park in America wandering around telling everyone to look up at the sky, look at the chemtrails. He's right, he stood there saying to everyone, look at you, or you're just walking around looking at the floor, look up. No one looks up anymore. See, these little ones down here, these are your natural stuff. All that crap up there, that's all man-made. Yeah, I thought I'd quickly show that one because that is one of the worst days I've seen.
Did you capture yesterday's one with that really weird sun? Did you see that sun?
Yeah, that was yesterday's one.
Oh, okay, that was yesterday's one.
I've got the 360 as well, but I haven't got it up yet. It's still in the folder to go.
Who saw that really weird sun yesterday?
It was crazy.
No sun at all.
I don't think I can get my pictures up quick enough from Facebook because I put it on Facebook.
Yeah, this is what Markovsky, I think it's Ofsky, innit? That's how he's saying it.
Yeah.
Ofsky. Markovsky, he's been doing this as well now. Oh, look, let's share Mark's one. See, just leaving it to run across the screen. He's uploading it correctly with the right timestamp, so we can find it 83 times the percent. I mean, just let it drift. I'll say there could be a lot of people doing this. You should be able to. In the end, it's like, you know, Aaron yesterday, he was doing his talk and he was saying about everyone having a place where you can go and everything's there, but there's different branches of everything. This, you know, it'd be nice to have so much moon data that we don't know what to do with it. You know, I think there's 5 or 6 of us doing this now, but there's thousands of P900s been sold. There's loads of people with P900s. I reckon it was probably the most bought camera last year, you know?
Yeah.
Everywhere I went with mine, everyone was like, oh, is that a P900? Let's have a look. I might have to get one of them. It's like, yeah, get one. They're really good.
If the people did it with the 360, wow.
Yeah, that's the good thing about having your 360 camera running, is that you've got your 360 and then you've got your zoom as well, timestamps. So we can work all of this, so you'll have the 360 image, so you'll know where it is and everything, you know, and then you'll have the face of the moon, how it was, so you can, everything will correspond with the next bit of video.
Hey, Mike Helmick.
It's about getting it all together, getting organised. That's why I say tearing down that fence and just forgetting about everything, just getting along with stuff, you know. You're not going to achieve any goals arguing.
Welcome, Mike Helmick.
All right, Mike.
How you doing?
You're all right, man. Yeah, I thought I'd show Mark's stuff, because it's good to have someone else doing it, you know. I'm glad he's doing it. Someone paying attention. Just need a lot more people going and doing it as well.
Hey, hello, Mike. How are you? Oh.
Doing fine, thank you.
We've been looking at, so Stan, show your first picture. I'm sorry. It's a good picture of the boat. It's not what you think, Mike. Coming.
It's coming. 2 secs.
It's coming.
Ta-da! You see that, Mike?
I see, let's see, I'm clicking on Stan. I see two guys on an island, and they don't look to be in good shape right now.
Nah. What's the main problem with this picture? What is the thing that sticks out? That's the problem.
Well, they're not working together, for one.
It's that fence.
Yeah, there's a barbed wire fence separating them.
Yeah, so they've got both pieces of the puzzle that they need to achieve their goal to get off of that island. And yet, they can't do it because they got that fence. You know, this bloke here, he's got the front, and this bloke here, he's got the back. But there's this separating the two halves, and two halves never make a whole.
Okay, so we're taking this in. We got to work together in the flat Earth community. Is that where this is going?
And that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay.
Like, regardless of anything, you just need to work together. Just talk to it. You know, everyone can talk. No one has to like everyone, but everyone can speak to each other. Everyone can treat another person how they want to be treated. And if everyone did that, we'd achieve a lot more.
Yeah, that's kind of a big problem in our community, though, isn't it?
It's a big problem with everyone, in everything.
So everybody does treat each other how they wish to be treated. That's what happens.
That's what I say. If it's just all it is an imaginary wall in people's minds that I don't want to talk to them, I don't want to talk to these, whoever, you know. It's just, here's, like, if someone's talking about flat Earth and they're not on a globe, then good for them, you know. It's good. They're not on a globe, so they're saying, you know, you're not on a globe, think about something else. Doesn't matter if their model's right or wrong. The globe's what's wrong, definitely. And there is no right model at the minute.
Well, you know, I don't think there's reasons to get upset over a model. There are some models I personally have issues with.
Yeah, I'm not
about. But
I'm not saying it's people getting upset over a model. I'm just saying they're never going to be a model unless everyone can work together. It's like this. This is the model. You've got like two when you should have, you know, there's bits missing out of all of them. That's all I'm saying. If everyone just forgot about everything and just got on.
I thought that when people woke up and they realised what this spiritual flat realm was about, that it would change you forever, because your goals are different, because everything's different. But most people just stay the same, and they do treat each other how they wish to be treated, rather than treat people as you wish to be treated if you understood what it was. And that's really sad, I think. But anyway, yeah.
But
well,
yeah,
let's...
You know, this is the Berlin Wall. This is what I was saying earlier. They tore that one down, and that was an actual physical wall. All this is just people with imaginary walls that shouldn't be there. They're made of nothing.
well, we know the globe model's wrong on so many levels. I mean, even our atmosphere would not be sustainable in a vacuum. It ripped off there, and we'd all suffocate and die. And so knowing that the Earth is not a ball, that's a step. But convincing people of why that's important, I think that's where we're running into, and I think this is where we run into religious issues, because, you know, the Christians, it's not going to appear to us that it makes no difference whether you know the Earth is a flat or it's a ball if you don't know Jesus. Okay, and so now you have a very harsh Christian agenda out there, and a very judgmental Christian agenda out there, if you haven't noticed. We see that out there, and I myself, I'm biased. I'm straight towards Scripture only. But I also try to understand that everybody has been lied to, and everybody needs to know the truth. We got some other biases out there. They want some type of other outerly world beings, or some kind of projection type of Earth, or some type of simulation theory, I might say. You know, and so they're going to be biased towards that and draw some conclusions there. And so when I'm running into problems, what I see a lot of issues is coming from the so-called Christian camps, or those who are also having agendas. towards some type of simulation or simulated environment. But you're 100% right. We do need to get along, and nobody's idea is the best idea. Nobody has it all put together. I think Ceres' model, when I look at Ceres and he's mapped out our magnetic field, you know, I'm seeing one big giant battery. In my opinion, I think that's pretty much the shape of the Earth. Now, how that works, that would be speculation, of course, at this point. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. We do need to get along, and that's why that's why I'm totally against, you know, putting down other people or saying this person's a shill or that person's a shill. Yeah, there are some flat earthers out there that I wish they wouldn't do the things they do, like maybe Ronnie Harris, the skeptic. But then again, I'm not going to run videos against him and saying he's this or that or looking stupid just because, you know, he's got his own agenda.
Yeah. It's up to them what they choose to do.
So who did you mention then? Who did you say then?
I just mentioned Ronnie Harris, our event skeptic, and his buddy Jason McLaughlin. You know, Ronnie used to be a totally different guy when I first met him. Used to talk to him on Skype. Now I don't know what's up with him now or what happened to him, but you know, his channel's based on going after Jaron and anybody else that doesn't agree with him. Same with Eric DeBay. If you don't believe he's God and you don't agree with him, well, then you end up on his shill wall of shame, like Darren Nesbitt did. And all Darren's done is some honest research and trying to sort things out himself, you know. And so I think what we're really saying is we'd like a lot of these big name flat earthers, maybe like Bob Jaron and maybe Eric, to kind of be more acceptable to some other ideas and theories. I think maybe that's what we're asking because they do have the viewers.
Sorry, I wasn't blowing like that. I don't want any drama, but with those, I have to say what happened. I have to, because it's the truth. Jason Awake Souls became our friend and was having hangouts with us privately, getting on and being friends. For Christmas, he broke up. Ronnie Event Skeptics broke up from Laurie, and Jason and them seemed to team up. And Ronnie was in our group, and then it seemed that we suddenly were having hangouts with Ronnie and Jason. And then they said that they wanted to help with Ceres' program, which was taking compass readings and putting them into the program and having a part in the program. So Ceres joined them to the program, and I've got the hangout with them going, yeah, here's our email addresses. We want to help, we want to help, we want to help. When they were on the program, there are other people joined to the program, but they're called like moderators, and they can put simulations in and their own readings in, and they can see a part of the program. In fact, they see all the program, they just don't see where they're coming, you know, like people's IPS stresses and stuff like that. But they thought that they were going to get it all in a click of a button. And Ceres noticed that they'd been there. And then the next thing is that I've got Jason on a hangout with me saying, are you on your own? I want to talk to you. I don't trust Ceres. All this stuff at me, saying he was the one that gave the word to go in and all this. And I still didn't really know what he was talking about. And then he said, could I take all of Ceres' data over to his program? He didn't trust Ceres. Anyway, Ceres went to his program, and the program recorded it as if it was like recording this hangout, except there was no film. And it said everything they did. And it showed how Ronnie gave Q and V the passwords, and Q and V went in about 6 times and tried to take Ceres' program offline. And they couldn't do it.
Yeah, with the special robot trying to rip everything what was inside the website. But I designed my own system and nothing works like that. So yeah, it's good luck with hacking.
So not only does Ceres have all the information on his program, which showed what they did, it showed you everybody's IP addresses, how many times they tried. There's over 6,000 log lines where Q&V is trying to take it, with Jason actually telling me that he sent Q&V in. to go and hack
He
it.
confessed it even.
So what, they were after Ceres' model? Is that what they were after?
They wanted all our
All the
company.
recording data, all the compass readings and such.
Are they even smart enough to use that? I mean, I'm just asking. I know these guys. I mean, Jason thought that pi equaled 4, so I mean, would it have helped them?
Yes, they did. They did exactly that. And that was before we came live. And that was these are the reasons why we took longer to come public. Because, you know, maybe some people look at Ceres' work and think, whoa, what is all that? But it isn't just his work. He's got the pixel data. He's got a whole database full of compass readings from about October last year with the moon, the Polaris, the stars, the sun, the moon. And that's
Right.
what they tried to steal.
Well, you know, they came up with their own map a while back ago. Now, I haven't heard anything else much about their map because I guess it didn't pass the test somewhere. So possibly they wanted to say that that was their work and that they came up with all that. But they're trying to prove it is simulation Earth, which is not going to work either. You know, Ceres, you know, you guys sent me some picture data of his maps and stuff. His map maps out the Earth's magnetic field, and that field alone tells us, you know, what the shape of the Earth is, in my opinion. You know,
anyway, you can see by this group, Mike, that Ceres has been very accommodating with all his research.
Magnetic
Right,
data even shows the worlds beyond. Confirms my suspicion there is a lot of beyond, and we actually are tied into their magnetic field. That's where the south and north points, what these points are. It's actually a point where the other realm ties in from the south and from the north.
They came in with their own work, and they wanted information for their own work. That's what they wanted. Joining us, helping, being a part of anything. They just wanted what they could get.
right. Well, there is another, I'll just say dimension, I don't like using that word. There is another space connected to our physical space. And there is a lot of activity in that space we can't see, but it runs right into our physical realm or over the top of it. And so I'm not sure why Ronnie or Jason would want to steal Ceres data. You know, it's just, like I said, those guys, I'm not going to run videos against them, but I would rather
I've got the video with them saying it. It was a hangout for the group. I didn't know it was going to turn into this. But anyway, before we even went live, people were trying to do things. So that's what our community's like. We had to ask. Ceres would have given it to them.
I was just going to say,
Yeah,
well,
they
they would have had to do
data.
it.
My only question was, how do you need it? And they never gave me an answer. But
I understand
in
if
the
people
background,
don't
they were trying
understand
to steal it.
That's what I say to everyone, you know, my stuff's on YouTube. If you want to go and make your own picture, if you're up to making your own pictures, you can do that to prove everything correct, you know. That's why I put
to
everything out
understand,
there.
explain it to people. What it was is they were given a moderator pass, right? Only me, Patricia, and Ceres right now have admin passes, so we see everything. They wanted to have everything. They wanted to have. I mean, who does that? Like, they only had to ask. Ceres would have given it to him. They were supposed to be helping us with the program. They agreed to go and put compass readings on. That's what they agreed to. They didn't agree to take the whole program. It's just incredible. I really liked Jason up until that point. I thought we were forging a friendship and coming together and having these hangouts. But anyway, that's what flat Earth can be like, and that's what you don't want, Stan. So we've already experienced it ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. It's just, you know, we all need to come together and stop. You know, there's not going to be one person that solves this. It's going to be everyone. There's not going to be a Stan Smith map or whoever map. It's going to be a flat Earth map.
Yes, I
a
agree.
lot of people, you know, like Aaron said yesterday, it's going to be everyone. It's about everyone.
It is. And I think there's some facts, you know, I mean, Stan, you're showing us the moon here, right? If you look at the moon, this surface looks a whole lot like a normal map to me. It's Ceres probably knows what a normal map is working with Blender. But all the craters are of the same depth. And so normal maps are made through just different light spectrums, and that's how we make normal maps for video games. But it looks like a projected normal map. And of course, a normal map will take light or shadows from other things, but it really just looks like that's what it is. Cool. And you do normal maps through color projections. And so there's just a lot of things that I think we can agree on, and the way that things move, and now the shape of the Earth. Well, I don't know, you know, but I just want. I think you're right. We all need to work together. We all need to make observations. David Marsh has given me some amazing observations of some things he was doing. You know, he's kind of drawn to the same conclusions we have. I think Ceres agrees that the moon and the sun, we're looking at projections. And so we can go from there. So how are projections affected from our perspective in a positive magnetic field, in a negative magnetic field? Well, we know that projection flips because the moon flips once we're in the southern hemisphere. And so we understand the way the light propagates through our magnetic field or aether, whichever one it is, the wave frequency becomes flipped depending on the hemisphere we're standing on. And this is why, you know, when Karen and I were talking about our sun, our own personal sun gives our little light path along the water to each individual person. Well, that's simply because the magnetic field, they're seeing a wave light through that field from a different position. And so that's why the sun and the moon, they'll always face us. And so, you know, there's a lot of things we found out just in this year alone. And then, of course, we're going to have flat earthers who are going to stick to, you know, the standard azimuth equidistance and ignore the Clipper World Boat Race and all that. But I think for the most part, a lot of people are becoming aware that things are even so vastly different than what we thought 2 years ago, because 2 years ago we were trying to still use some of the heliocentric sciences, you know, 5 layers of atmosphere to try to figure things out and how things work. And now we're finding out that nothing is even remotely like anything they've told us. And so it's taken us this long just to kind of understand that even particle physics itself is not what they told us. There's no such thing as an electron particle that carries mass. It's all explained through wave frequency.
It's so starting from scratch. Really, everything we need to rethink again.
Right, right. Ceres is 100% correct. We need to start from scratch and go back to what they knew, what Tesla knew at the very beginning, and we will understand how everything works. Even our DNA strands are based on a wave, and our DNA is connected by electrolytes, and you have 2 strands that spiral up. Everything is a wave theory. And so when you remove the idea of particles, when you remove the idea of gravity and things carrying mass, all of a sudden when you understand that what we see is just a wave frequency, because our eyes only pick up the visible light spectrum and it's just a short range, our ears pick up the lower wave spectrum, and that's how we hear. And so everything that we see is just based on a wave frequency. And then we can better understand why the stars move opposite directions and split our center equator line, and we can understand why the moon speeds up and the moon slows down when it reaches the equator, and or no, it speeds up at the equator and slows down when it reaches north or south of the equator. And so then we can start to understand those mechanics. And with electromagnetic wave theory, we can also start understanding that time propagation is not that big a deal in electromagnetic wave, and we can actually have Earth in some type of toroidal repeating field, which becomes a possibility. Because even NASA, when NASA tells us, well, we have portals at the North and South Pole, and they connect to the sun, and you can instantly be one place to the other, and it's a magnetic field. Well, even NASA admits that in a magnetic field, you can go from point A to point B instantly with no time variance. And so what I think we're looking at is an Earth that simply just wraps around itself in these magnetic fields. Now, how these magnetic fields run and how many of them are there, that's what we're finding out. But I think from this year, we have learned so much more than what we knew maybe a year and a half ago. And I think people need to start looking at this information, look at the science behind the electromagnetic unified field theory, and understand that everything is based on electricity and electromagnetics.
All right, Mike, you look at that image there.
The electricity, electromagnetic and dielectricity.
You see that image there?
Yeah.
I've just paused it.
Yeah, I see this.
Yeah, that's the moon in England and South Africa. The faint one in the back, South Africa. Yeah. So it doesn't flip, it rotates. That's what the moon's doing. All this is doing is going back beyond me. It's rotating. So I'm looking at it upside down, basically, because it's rotated. It's not flipped, it's just rotated because I've moved.
Well, okay, I understand what you're saying. It's just rotated 180 degrees, right? You're seeing the other side of it. I understand what you're saying.
This shows you you're in, like, it's like a tire around you, these lines. That's what, when you'll see, you'll see in the next bit.
But looking at this, the whole path you have, it's a wave, isn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing of substance. So yeah, it's just could be a sound, a wave.
Right, but it definitely looks like a wave type of frequency that it follows.
You see, it goes around you, the tire. So when you go north or south of the equator, let's call it, the ball just rotates. The tire moves, just rotates this way or that way. That's how you know where you are on a flat Earth.
There's not something else with this particular north or south circle. It doesn't matter how you move in longitudinal position. That particular direction stays parallel to the north or the south.
Yeah.
It doesn't deviate to a point in three-dimensional sense. You take that point with you.
Yeah, it's like, you'll relate to this, Mike. Made the heavens and the earth. You didn't make where you live. You made the heavens and the earth. And what ties the heavens and the earth is you.
Yeah.
And that's what this is showing you. It took me 2 weeks to figure this out, what was going on, just looking at it.
You might wonder, do animals actually see the stars?
Well, that's what I've often wondered now.
It's really particularly for us, as we are also having this astrological influence in electromagnetic sense, because these are the fields working on us.
There's a lot of questions.
Physical aspects of what their function is.
Well, I know our animals are attuned to the Earth's magnetic field. I mean, you could take a big magnet and make lobsters follow it around in a tank. And so they get a sense of direction from our field. We know that.
See, Markovsky just said wolves see the moon because they howl, don't they? But is that what are they seeing the moon, or are they just picking up on an energy and kicking off on it?
Well, the moon would give off a negative dielectric field, so I think they're picking up the energy from that. And so when they get that vibe, so to speak, they howl.
Yeah, I'll put that on again. But these are your lines, look. So when you're on the equator, they're just coming straight up and out and over you, and then back behind you. And then when you move each way of the equator, this just rolls to how you're moving.
So the whole thing's a wave. Even what we see above is like a wave.
Yeah, circle around us. How he spreads it out in a three-dimensional flat.
Yeah, it's interacting with each and every one of us for you. It's for you. It is your moon. Although we all see one moon,
Our own.
it is our own, you know. It's the same moon for everyone, but it is yours.
But we all get our personal moon.
Yeah.
Because when you approach the moon, I mean, if you were to travel really fast, if you were to go towards the moon would start to rotate. That tells you right away it's not a physical object. You're seeing a rotation based on its wave propagation through a field. That's the only way. You're just seeing the face of it rotate because of the way the light's traveling through the field. As you're approaching closer and closer, that field shortens and shortens. So it's changing the wave frequency and rotating the moon as you're approaching towards the equator to see it. And as you go on the other side of the equator, it's going to keep going and rotate to eventually 180 degrees. As you said, it doesn't flip, it rotates. You're right. And so everybody has their own personal moon, and I imagine the stars, and that we know everybody has their own personal sun, simply because it displays itself uniquely to each individual viewing it based on your position in Earth's magnetic field or aether. And that's one thing I was like maybe discuss with Ceres. Are we seeing wave propagation through the magnetic field and the aether, or just the aether or the magnetic field? Or are they one and the same? So that would be my question for Ceres.
See, the objects themselves are kind of the core of a toroidal field, and where you see that funnel as a polygon form spread out, and everything what is touching this inner field and on the below side is actually seeing all the objects in their own bubble in their particular angle of how they touch that. That's what free energy already explained.
Well, I might take
how these polygon forms are there, but I figure these polygon forms are part of a complete toroidal field where we don't see the rest of. We just only see that core shining to our reality, and then projected on the bubble where we are in. So they have an actual three-dimensional position somewhere, but we just can't see it on that level. We can only see it within our own bubble on the projection screen of our bubble. And how that then is also, we can read that through the science and getting to know what these energies are and what their influences is. Be it in the house, be it the planets, be it the stars.
right. Everyone
There's
just
a huge knowledge base we don't know about yet.
take a quick note of the size of this moon. Yeah, on the screen, how much gap there is. Yeah, how much gap there is here. How big it is. This is what I say, the importance of uploading in the manner that we do. Because if I go, can't remember how to do this now. Can't remember what one it was.
It's never there when you want it, hey Stan?
I know. It's always the way. It'd be, well, let's just click on this one. So it won't be too much difference. With me and Z Proxy, we sync shot together. So see the size, it's about the same. Yeah. So if it was perspective and it was one thing we were looking at, we would all be seeing different sizes, and we're not, because it's no further from me than it is from Z Proxy or Cosmic Surfer or Daveovsky or anybody.
What you see is on the edge of your own bubble. That's how far you can look and where you can put things sharp on, because everything will be there.
And that's where the
That's
sun
where you
is.
put your focus on in that sense.
And that's where the stars are. They're all at that.
Yeah.
I don't never take my P900 off of moon mode to film the sun, the stars, anything. It's not on moon mode. So if the moon was at a different distance from the stars, I would have to have a different focus, which I never do.
Right. The moon is not, it doesn't rotate due to perspective. And I don't know why people don't see that. Because when I kind of got into a little bit with Wolfie and his eclipse he did in Australia, you know, my question to him was, well, how's the moon rotate like that? And so he puts a little camera on a globe, makes me a video, and he spins the camera on this ball. And I'm like, wait a minute. The moon rotates if you approach it straight on. And there, in real life, objects in our distance don't start rotating. I mean, you see the McDonald's down the street, the M's don't start rotating as you approach it. Our moon does. When you approach the moon straight on, it rotates its position. And so that tells you it is not a physical perspective. It is a projection perspective.
Funny thing is, if you look from the north and it would be going over you as a static object that doesn't rotate, then the only direction it should rotate for your perspective is counterclockwise, but it rotates clockwise. So it's also rotating the opposite what you should expect from its perspective.
Right, exactly, Ceres. You know, and even Chris Monk has photos. He had sunspots, and as the sun passes by, those spots click off, and they're almost exactly like the hour. You know, they just turn as the sun moves by. And supposedly our sun's not rotating that fast according to NASA, but yeah, I mean, we can bust these guys out. The heliocentric model is so washed out and so easily proven to be false. Even like Polaris, that's our North Star, right? And Polaris is always north, no matter where we're at. But if we're rotating around the sun, Polaris could not possibly be always north of our position.
So again, this is Cape Town, South Africa. Look at the gap. Look at the size. It's roughly the same size. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of difference in it because of atmospheres and heat and every other thing. But when you look at it, it's give or take, it is roughly the same size.
So Stan, I'm taking it that you know, we thought that refraction, light through our atmosphere was refracted and threw off our position of the sun and moon. I'm more beginning to think that refraction acts more like a magnifier and not a bending effect. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Because I'm thinking we're seeing the projection correctly from where it's being projected at. We're just seeing the magnification.
It magnifies more when it's on a rise or on a set, because obviously you're looking through a lot more. It seems at lower altitudes it's thicker and it magnifies it greater because it always looks a little bit bigger on a set or a rise. But when it's above you, they all seem to be within the same sort of size, you know. That's why I say to everyone, how we're uploading with the titles, how they are, is for data. We can go back and look at all of this.
Okay, and just for the people that are watching the video, you know, somebody might ask, how high is the sun or the moon? You know, when we started Flat Earth a couple of years ago, I think Flat Earth Society was telling everybody, well, it's 3,000 miles up. The truth is, the height of either objects, depending on where you're at and your perspective and how high you are. Because the moon could, if you're like, you know, weather balloon or something, the moon could actually appear only about 36,000 feet up from projection sitting above the cloud layer. And we have those photos. So, you know, so how high it is, how far away it is, the projection distance is not probably over, you know, 10 miles or so. It's just, or well, no, 18 miles or so. It's just right there. And so now where the actual light source is, that would be a whole other thing. But projection wise, this is why we see the sun stuck underneath the clouds. This is why we see clouds behind the moon. And those clouds you're seeing are called, what are the noctilus? These are noctilus clouds. But they're clouds that are way like miles and miles right on the edge of so-called space or the Kármán line. And so when people are seeing clouds behind the moon, these are the clouds you're actually looking at when you turn the aperture up on your camera, because they're going behind the projection.
Yeah, I figured with the cube construct, the maximum distance anything can get high is 12,000 kilometers. Anything beyond that is outside the cube construct. So, and we see most of the stuff below that.
Right. So right, exactly. So we can see it below us or above us, depending on what we're seeing through the field, and it's not that far away. But the thing is, you're not going to land on it. You know, you're not going to walk around on it, and you didn't do any Apollo missions there either.
No, never. You're never going to land on the moon. The only man to ever moonwalk was Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
This moves with you. When you move, it moves with you. That's how you know where you are.
It follows you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like a shadow. You look at shadows as well, right?
You can even catch it up.
Well, your shadow, it goes around you throughout the day. It doesn't go around the earth. It doesn't, you know, it goes around you. So therefore, everything's going around you. That's what all this is.
Owen's failure, if we take 80 kilometers as a speed in where he stabilizes the speed of the rotation, then the diameter of your perspective bubble is at least 600 kilometers. You're at least in the middle on the 300.
Yeah, I reckon it's probably smaller than that. I don't know. Like, I haven't looked into it.
Depends on what we can measure of the actual speed when you stabilize this, when you go with the movement in western direction and actually stabilize the spin around you to a still, then you have the actual kilometers an hour it spins. If you take that for the 24-hour it spins in one circle, then you multiply the 24-hour mile, the kilometers an hour, and divide it by 2, and you get the actual diameter of the radius of the circle. And then twice that is your diameter. It's a very simple mathematical thing to walk through. But you need the actual speed to catch it up. And I wonder if there is any difference in speed when we do an equator test or a north and south test.
It's the same again with this. You know, it's always the same. There's a lot to be had out of a P900. Like Ceres is saying, with all what he's talking about, this will help work everything out. You can see from this, this is a rising moon from the south, because it's going up. Look at the moon, it's a southern moon rising. You can work out how steeply it's rising. It's time stamped.
It's also clockwise turning, you see.
Yeah, this will be going. But, I can't remember what way it'll be going. You'll see throughout the night. As you get the, stack up, you see it rotate. Mine rotates clockwise. I think this is rotating anti-clockwise. It is. It's rotating anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
Looking at it, it really looks like, God's got a moon flashlight, and he's just kind of, that's what it looks like. And it's, it's pretty cool.
All those beautiful white spots in there.
Yeah, he does. I'm quite jealous of the Cosmic Surfer. He has got a crisp sky most of the time. He's always out there filming. He's like, "You up for a sink?" I'll go and have a look. No, I'm clouded out, mate. It's like, oh, gutted. But if we had everyone doing this, then there'd be lots of syncs happening. If people just filmed it as and when they could see it and when they've got time and just upload it, and then there will become a massive bank of data here from P900s.
But it's definitely gives its own light, and
Everything does.
everything does. Everything's electromagnetic. What Ceres say? A dielectric electromagnetic field light. Everything, and you can't even use any heliocentric science to figure anything out. And
Just forget the ball.
yeah, I mean, there's no 7 layers of atmosphere. In fact, the gas that sits on top of our noble gas atmosphere is what's that stuff called? It's sulfur hexafluoride.
Okay.
And that's a heavy gas that sits on top of our noble gases. And we can thank Germany for figuring that out for us. But and it's a gas heavier than our noble gases, so it sits on top of our atmosphere. And if you look up sulfur hexafluoride, you'll find it's a heavier gas, very electromagnetic and fire resistant. Like you can scoop a cup of this stuff and like pour it like on top of flames, and it'll put the flames out. And so there's just a lot of stuff that our 5 layers atmosphere is nonsense. The Van Allen radiation belts are nonsense. I think they were developed to make an excuse of why they can't do things or can do things based on budgeting concerns. Just their whole system is not even true. It's all make-believe, every single bit of it. And so, as Ceres was saying, we have to start from scratch and figure it out from nothing they've told us at school.
Yeah, forget everything. That's what I done when I had to work this out. I was trying to work it under a dome for ages and trying to work it on all sorts of stuff. And I was like, it doesn't work on anything. Something else. And then that's when it all started to click. And then that's when I looked at Ceres' work and other people. I've looked at a lot of stuff to get to where I am now. But if you look at this, where I froze this video, how the hell do you get a red cloud underneath? Unless it's working how I've just shown you,
That's the four-dimensional light, what is the polygon form, and then at the edge it goes up.
That's what this. I'll put the link to this video in a minute in the chat because it goes well with the song that's on it. But this was one of the first videos I put up because no one knows what was going on. And when you hear the song, you'll laugh. Because just nobody knew for years, you know. Someone they knew.
Play it with music if you want to. Oh, you can't play it with music, can you, Stan?
Well, it's not got a copyright. It's Isa his song. You know, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Well, you don't know if it's part of the show.
It's all a show.
Yeah, because that's what I was showing people, because no one was going to know what I was showing them. Because I ain't told no one yet. That's what this video was about, and that's what the next video in the sequence of the playlist was, put on the glasses, because I wanted people to just look at the VR. That's what I'm showing with this look. The moon is up there, all the stars are there, but I can zoom into it with my P900. It's just 83 times zoom. And I can see it. That's Jupiter with its moons. This is from my drone with a 360 on it. And the Isle of Wight, that's the Needles down there. That's the Solent, that's sea. And that's all the farm, fields and farm where I go to fly my drone. In South Africa. This is when we first started looking into it. Look, there's no north and south lines on this. This is a real early picture, this one. This is the Dubai one. But if this didn't work, then these lines, they would all, you know, they wouldn't work in every video. There'd be inconsistencies, but there's not. So it's working. What we're doing is working. It's repeatable. Which every true science is repeatable. Someone can put a camera on my roof and repeat and do this tomorrow. And the way to work out where you are is looking at what's above you and what's around you and taking it all in. You can't work out if you're on a ball or a flat earth by punching numbers into a computer. It has to come from what's around you, your reality. You know? I'll play this one again. But yeah, these lines, we don't change these lines, we just move them up and down to suit the moon, and that tells us everything we want to know. You still there? I'm gonna cut myself off.
We're
here, Stan. We're just listening. I just muted myself.
No, it's a lot to take in, and it's a totally different, you know, no one else is looking at it this way. Not really. I've heard a few people saying about rainbows and the sky and how it moves and stuff, but they're not got the proof. And this is the proof. You can't argue with proof.
it's the one thing what they can't trial. The law have facts.
I went on the Poncho Pete show the other day. He was getting trolled big time, and I played this video, and they just left him alone instantly. They can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that's such a true statement, Stan. If you're holding on to the azimuthal equidistance, the trolls will eat you alive. But anytime I mention something like what you're showing here and a repeating magnetic Earth, and I say this is this, this, and this, suddenly the trolls disappear.
Especially you got the proof as well.
Exactly. And then you explain it to them, and then all of a sudden they leave. They can't handle the truth because they have nothing to say against it.
They can't argue it.
They think it's a ball, and then their dream is destroyed. That can't be true, you know.
Yeah, and what are we destroying, Ceres? Are we just because if it's a flat plane and gravity's a bunch of nonsense, then evolution didn't happen, right?
Sure.
Because you can't, and even if you understood how our eyes and ears work to receive these waves, it's so complex it could not just have evolved, you know, in things being able to do that. And so you need gravity, you need spinning balls, you need an ever-expanding universe to claim that there was evolution by some kind of remote magical stroke of luck or of chance. And so when you start showing them real evidence and say, well, no, it's not the azimuthal equidistance, it works like this. Now, we don't understand this, but we know it is all based on the electromagnetic field wave theory. They turn tail and run because I think they know inside that you are actually speaking about something that has a lot more truth in it than spinning balls spinning around other balls and hovering in space. And then all of a sudden now you got to face the reality of the fact that you were not some random chance. You know, there wasn't a bunch of rocks that leaked minerals that became proteins, became bacteria, became fish, and on up the tree. You were actually a created being and purposely designed. And I think that bothers a lot of people just on the inner core level of their being. And this is why I think a lot of people react so negatively and try to use every little stupid thing they can to prove that they do still live on a spinning ball chasing after the sun at 483,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, you might wonder how many breakdowns of lives do you need to actually realize everything is a lie? Does it really every lie to be broken down before you do it yourself? You know? Isn't one lie enough to realize there's some lie at least?
Right, exactly. And so if the Earth is flat, then you were not a product of an evolved species. You are a product of a divine intelligence and creator, and you have made for a purpose.
Let's change that to the world is flat. It's not if, it's the world is flat. There ain't no debate no more for me. I look at it as like there is no debate, you know.
All right, we're not going to debate that. Instead, the world is flat, not if. It is 100% flat. All right.
Yeah. Unsure of anything else, but it's flat. It's not a globe. Let's just say 99% flat, 100% not a globe, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And even if you got an IQ, or maybe not an IQ, but if you ponder it, and you're thinking about everything they tell you we are, and a lot of people that believe in the globe I don't think they realize, understand that all the claim of motion that goes into believing in that. I mean, we are spinning at 1,037 miles at the equator. We are wobbling, okay? So now we're wobbling back and forth. We are tilted at 23.5 degrees as we circle the sun, okay, at 67,000 miles an hour. The sun itself is traveling 483,000 miles an hour through some unknown destination, and the sun is pulling all the supposed planets right along with it while they're all keeping perfect orbit. Folks, none of that in physics works. You can't make that work. It is impossible. And I think if people would just like think about it for a second of what they're being told, I think a lot of people maybe would say, like, wait a minute, how does all that keep together and work? How does that even make sense? And it doesn't.
I actually made Flat Earth Math tell me the other day that he was on the equator, that it was 1,036 miles an hour that he was spinning. And then I laughed at him, and then soon after he left. But we had a big debate about where we were stood on the ball. I was saying to him on the equator, how fast am I spinning? And he kept going back to the North Pole. And I said to him, you just cannot run to the North Pole every time someone brings up spin. You know, and then he said, yeah, but it's not a speed, it's a rotation, it's a revolution. And I said, but it has a distance, therefore it has a speed. So then there is, you know, there's a calculated speed. You know, I think he thought he was just talking to an idiot, and I was like, mate, you're picking fights with the wrong person here. You know?
Yeah, Stan, they'll try to tell you, well, it takes 24 hours not moving that fast. Look, 1,037 miles an hour is 1,037 miles an hour. Doesn't matter how long it takes to go around something. It's still going 1,037 miles per hour.
Yeah, at the equator, you would literally be holding onto your face and clutching onto a rock, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, your lips would be flapping, and you know, and even airplanes. Yeah, okay. So in North America, in Europe, you know, the Earth's spinning around 940 miles an hour. But you know, they take off. Oh, okay, maybe they've kept the rotation of the Earth at 940 miles an hour. But there's nothing in gravity, and there's nothing in our atmosphere that keeps us playing reference to Earth once it leaves the ground. And so somehow people want us to believe that, well, it's the atmosphere that's rotating with the Earth that keeps the plane to its reference. Well, then the atmosphere would have to be a solid, correct?
Yeah. And it's not. It's a gas. Observe.
Exactly.
I can go out and observe that now and check that. You know? Right.
And so I don't even think, you know, that just the logic these people use to hold on to their blah is just, and we don't want to call them stupid, but they are indoctrinated. And indoctrination can't be critical against the thing that indoctrinated it, of course. And I just, the only way to, they have to want to know the truth, because I find it hard to believe somebody's so stupid to think that a plane, once it leaves a spinning surface under its own power, can actually land back on that spinning surface. You know, because as the plane travels, it has different variants of wind shears and speeds for it and against it. So it's not stuck in a solid fluid of some type that doesn't change. Airplanes are constantly experiencing wind shears, wind changes, and density as they go from 10,000 feet to 38,000 feet. And so their environment's constantly changing. And for them to be still keep their reference to the spinning ball would be an impossibility in physics and even in common sense.
Common sense tells you, doesn't it? Just have a look now. Everyone just look around you. Nothing's moving. I'm not spinning.
Yeah, no. and think about 1,000.
Observable.
Any movement itself, it doesn't matter what movement, any movement you can feel.
Unrepeatable.
Except that one.
Yeah, a lot of people have got lighters in front of them or a TV remote, you know, try and stand it upright in front of you. And it doesn't, you know, once you get it balanced, it doesn't fall over, it stays stood upright. So
Can I
you're
just
not
say
moving.
one thing, Stan? Because I felt the same, but that pilot who came on the other day, Lydia, she said as a pilot that, you know, she understands that the atmosphere is sort of, we're in an atmosphere, so that whole thing is moving, but yeah, it's moving.
Time
with
moves,
us.
you know. There is an energy that's moving, and that is
Well,
what's causing
I'm
it.
finding all this really strange because I was putting this video together and Ceres and I watched it, and it's this guy's trying to explain that when anybody wants to, they change everything they want, the times, the days, everything. They can put themselves 2 days ahead, 2 days behind, half a second behind, half a second ahead, and everybody all the time is changing this round all the time. Computers read the change in the country, then it can happen, and you're like, what? One country, can't remember, it was somewhere like somewhere in the Middle East, I think. They changed 2 days. They went 2 days forward or something. How can all this happen if we're on a ball? It can't happen.
How the hell do you even measure the astrology again? If you're in such a time switch all the time.
I need to play it to tell you what it says, but I'm not sure how well it comes across because it's not actually a YouTube video. It's on my computer at the moment, but do you want to see if we can play it?
Well, I don't know, you don't want to get a strike or anything.
Oh, no, I don't mean it like that. I mean, because it's not rendered, you know, it's on my computer. It might not come. I'm not worried about that. These are out, these videos. One of them's talking about why we have different time zones, and the other one's talking about they're absolutely crazy. Time is absolutely crazy. See if we can play it. It's just not rendered into a YouTube video yet.
So are we talking about time differences or anomalies?
Yeah, if you watch this, it'll blow your mind.
Because you know, we've got
time zone
reports,
stuff.
especially
It's pretty
crossing.
complex.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that we've got reports, especially east of New Zealand, of something about the Pacific. We get reports of time shifting and, oh, where am I at now, or how did I end up here, type of stuff. But all this is possible through a magnetic field, though, right, Ceres?
What is the question?
I said time shifting and travel is all possible through electromagnetic field theory, right?
Time travel.
Time shifting or time variances.
It's more like they're like the what is it? Time that hour we get extra every summer. That switching of time. That's what man does in these time zones. And there are several time zones who are even a quarter an hour beyond our. And just to keep track of
I was going to say
time of that location.
Let's watch the video, right?
Just before you play it, someone said a little while ago that it doesn't matter who gives you the truth, enemy or friend. Truth is the truth.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll just play this. I mean, this bothers me. This was across okay. And then play.
It would be stupid to deny the truth from your enemy.
Clocks and saving time. People are literally shifting time twice a year. There must be a pretty solid reason why we're doing it, right?
You need to present still.
Daylight saving time has always been pitched by the government as a way to save money on energy. More sunlight in the evening hours means less lighting. It was first used during several months of World War I and brought back to DR during World War II, when it was instituted year-round until the end of the war. It wasn't until 1966, when the Uniform Time Act was passed, that the U.S. began observing daylight saving time from spring to fall annually. It's because of the 2005 Energy Policy Act that daylight saving now begins during the second weekend of March and ends during the first weekend of November every year. But studies have found that adjusting our clocks doesn't really save us anything on energy use. Light lighting is negated by increased use of heat and air conditioning. When it's light out longer, we also tend to drive more, which means using more gas. Extensions haven't been driven by energy costs. They've been driven by retailers who want to give consumers more daylight to shop, eat out, and play golf. Isn't necessarily a bad thing. There are costs associated with losing an hour every March. Studies have found that on the Monday after springing ahead, we see a spike in car accidents and heart attacks, and a lull in productivity. One study estimated that the time shift cost the U.S. over $4 billion in lost productivity. If following daylight saving time doesn't optimally align daylight hours with normal hours of human activity, it actually makes it worse. With daylight saving, the entire continental U.S. has a reasonable sunset time for a majority of the year. But many places only see reasonable sunrise times for less than half of the year. If we were to abolish daylight saving time, we would still have roughly the same number of days with acceptable sunsets. Plus, we'd have way more days with appropriate sunrise times. So while getting rid of daylight saving time might mean a little less time spent on the links in the summer, it could also mean a few less car accidents and a lot more pleasant mornings for the rest of the year.
Has to deal with time zones. I can't really offer much advice here. I can offer a cautionary tale. Should never, ever deal with time zones if you can help it. That someone has built an application that how many seconds something is in the past. You type in a date and a time, it gives you the number of seconds. And they look at that and think, okay, that kind of works for me. But also let's so if you're comparing between now in New York, days ago in London, you can work that out. And that's fine. The little drop down lets you change which hour forward or backward of Greenwich you are. Later, after it gets a bit popular, from Australia. And Australia will say, I'm trying to do accents. I shouldn't do accents. Australia will say, hello. Why? We're 9.5 hours ahead of Greenwich. Yeah, 9.5 hours. Oh, okay, I'll add a special case for you, that's fine. And a little bit later, someone will call from Nepal, and they'll say, hello, we're 5.25 hours ahead. And they'll say, really? I say, yeah, we've been there for ages. Yeah, 5.25 hours. And they'll put in a special case, and maybe they'll look up the list of time zones, the canonical list that tells you what everything is, and they'll make sure they've covered every time zone in the world. We'll come along. And we'll get a call from England. And England will say, excuse me, we're an hour out at the minute. What's going on? Clock's just changed. With that, we tell them we made a note on when daylight saving changes for us, and we put that in. And England will say, no, see, daylight saving changes a week earlier for us. It's different depending on where you live. We shift our clocks back. At that point, generally the program will start to hold their head in their hands themselves into it. And that's fine. They'll each country shifting daylight savings time on a different day, and they'll look at the file that tells them how to do that, and they'll copy all that in. Or from someone in the Southern Hemisphere again, who will say, yeah, well, we're not shifting back forward. Our spring November. And at that point, they'll generally start looking longingly at their intoxicant of choice and wondering whether they should have a quick drink before keeping going, and then they'll code that in as well. And then they'll get a call from Samoa, from the international date line, and Samoa will say, hello, yeah, we skipped a day the other year, and the program will say, oh, today. We went from December the 29th, 2011, to December, from one side of the international date line, from being hours and hours behind Greenwich to being hours and hours ahead of Greenwich. It helps us with trading with Australia. After that, when you work out how many days things are and how many seconds things are in the past. There's a file that tells you when any country has changed its time. It turns out that happens fairly often. It's ahead of schedule. So as long as you keep that file updated, hopefully that's going to be programs like Then you look back and you notice that during World War II, England had double. It went completely onto the ST and then just added extra despite having Greenwich. Let's finally deal with that. It's changed. You notice I'm starting talking as if it was you or me, because I've done this before and it's really, really frustrating. But you subscribe to the list of when countries are going to change their time zones, which happens apparently many times. Well, sometimes several times in a year, because governments change over. And then the programme, this mythical programme, gets a call from Libya, who in 2013, with only a couple of days' notice, decided that they weren't going to put the clocks back. It wasn't possible for anyone to get the update out in time, and meaning that every Libyan computer, no matter what operating system it ran, was an hour out. It's okay, you read the news article about that, you hurriedly code that in as well. And then you get a call from the West Bank. The Israeli population is on a different time zone to the Palestinian population, because one is following Israel and one isn't. And now you have two populations of people in the same location who are following different time zones. And now they're all having to ask themselves whether they're on this time zone or this one, depending on who they are and where they are. And there's no way to code that into your program. And then you get a call from the historian. Right, I'm trying to calculate some times back in the 18th century. Changed from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar. And it's not that we lost about 3 weeks, it's just that we skipped right from this date, missed the others. And can you code it so that it just kind of works that out for me? And someone else has already told you when those dates are, and you can code that into your program's logic as well, but now it's looking really long and really complicated. It's a tangled mess of spaghetti code that somehow works out, and then you get a call from the Russian historian who says, yeah, we only changed the Gregorian calendar in the 20th century, and it turns out the dates that you skip change depending on your location, and can you deal with that as well? And then you get a call from the British historian who says that until, I think it was the 16th century, the year started on the 25th of March. Just to blow your mind there, on the 24th of March, 924, and then it will be the 25th of March, 925, and that is the next day, because you have gone from December 31st to January the 1st, 924, because it goes in that order, and it's massively complicated. And then you get the call from the astrophysicist. We just had a leap second. And at this point, you just kind of go, what? Because the Earth does not rotate at a constant speed. It slows down, it speeds up as tectonic plates move about and magnetic fields shift or something like that. And so occasionally, the International Astronomical Union will work out whether we need a leap second. And if you do, the clocks go 59, 58, and then it's 23, 59, 59, and then instead of going like any sensible time zone would, it goes 23, 59, 60, and everything breaks because suddenly you have 61 seconds in a minute. So depending on your implementation, either 1 second out of sync with the rest of the world, or it repeats a second. The way you're meant to deal with this is something called the Unix timestamp. A number file, I think, has talked about this before, that you have this number that started at the first exact second of 1970 and increments per second, constantly, tick. And that's great, because what you're meant to do is you take whatever date has been given you, and you calculate that as a Unix timestamp, and you put that into your database. And that'll just deal with leap seconds, except it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. Have universal coordinated time, which in seconds, and it repeats occasionally, and it just includes 23, 59, 60. And then you have astronomical time, which does not include leap seconds, and has steadily been getting out of sync because we need to look at the stars and design telescopes around it. And what you learn with time zones is that what you do is you put away your code, anything to deal with this, you look at the people who have been there before you, you look at the first people, the people who have dealt with this before, the people who have built the spaghetti code, and you go to them and you thank them very much for making it open source, and you give them credit for what they have made, and you put it in your program, and you never ever look at it again, because that way lies madness. Actually has a really, really good approach. Invented themselves. There's an article about it on their blog, I think, that explains it. They do something called a leap smear. Having 61 seconds in a minute, or because having a clock tick back a second, can be really, really bad for massive agencies that so have to really precisely and have to trust that one bit of data was stored before another. They second out the whole day. They increase their clock by a microsecond at a time, all the way through the day, so that it's sometimes maybe even half a second out from reality. But as long as everything on their servers is half a second out, it's built to every single world as it knows that one thing happened before another, like having continuity and having accurate time.
There you go.
Yeah, one big frustration these types of
There's just no way are we on a spinning ball.
Just need to start using UTC, Universal Time Code. That's it. The time now, Universal Time is 22:31 everywhere. That is it. 22:31. 32 now. 22.
I'm going to render that video. I'm going to render it and put it on Sun and Moon.
22:32.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the non-broken up version of that. That sounded pretty good.
That's crazy. Like, so basically, they've made the time zones to make money, and the fact that it proves that we're not a spinning ball because everybody can just change their times. They can move days. They can add a millisecond, all these seconds, minutes. They can do anything they want at a moment's notice and change time. So what is history then? We'll never, ever. We're all in the same time. It's just it's nighttime here and it's daytime for you, Mike. But in history, we'll never be in the same time.
The time is now. No matter where you are, regardless of what your clock tells you, the time is now. Time's just an illusion created for the slave, you know. Really, it was created to track your way around the earth. That's what a clock was designed for. But then it's been used. Now, my mate calls it the cock, not the clock. Because he has to follow the clock to go to work. He has to be at work on a certain time. So he goes, oh, the cock tells me I've got to be at work. You know, it's been used for different reasons now.
instead of locate where you are on the flat plane.
Just to tell you where you're meant to be.
So you find what this? Oh, I just found I've played that a few times. It's crazy. It's all it's everything is crazy. How it all sinks in together, goodness knows.
Goes back to there's a story of a watchmaker. He owns a watch shop, and every day he notices a bloke goes by and looks at a watch in the window, and then off he goes down the road. Next day, looks at the watch. Off he goes. Next day, looks at a watch. Looks at this clock. Keeps every day looks at it, and in the end, the shopkeeper goes to him. I have to ask you, why do you look in here every day? He goes, oh, I've been setting my. He goes, I work down the factory, and every day, 4 o'clock, I have to blow the whistle. So that's the end of the day. So I've been setting my clock at that, from that watch in the window, to make sure it's right, because you're a watchkeeper. And he says, well, bugger me, I've been setting that watch from that whistle every day. So they could be hours out and they don't know it. So they've been just going off each other. No one's checked nothing.
Okay, so there's a theory. What year is it really? You know.
The one
Or is
thing we
it-
noticed was, Mike, through other people's research, artists, for instance, that in the 1900s you could go to prison for saying that you lived on a globe. Then there was all this electric stuff with electric cars. They were going really fast. You could drive them for hours. Then you got the First World War. Then you got the Second World War. And they were actually, you could actually still find magazines up to 1995 about flat Earth. But somewhere in the 60s, they switched us, probably when they went to space. They got gasoline, they got those kind of cars. But people like who were living in the First and Second World War would have grown up knowing we were flat. And they switched us in the 60s. And of course, did you see what the first person said? In 1966, they probably created Vietnam to take everybody's eyes over there. And at the same time are going to space. And maybe they're lying to us again. Maybe when all those people were looking up, it was like, are we flat or are we a ball? We don't think of them thinking that, do they? Because, oh, we know it's a ball because NASA showed us. So we'll never really know the real truth of all these things, because the more artists delved into the archives of papers and that, the more the truth was totally different. Like it's been wiped out of our memory.
Well,
So
Mike
to
has
answer the question of Mike, the only way to actually keep track of time is through astrology, because you have all these planetary settings. These are only on specific times. So you can in that way actually track back when something actually happened through the astrology part.
Yeah, there is a
There's
cycle.
particular unique settings to it.
There is a cycle, but it's vast. It's massive.
Yeah, I agree with Ceres on that. Time is just, you know, we use it in video games to determine how fast something should reach something else. We use it for a lot of things, but it's a man-made, well, I should say it's a God-made construct, like Ceres was saying. God defined a day, the sun up and sun down, so that would be a day. And that would be the only reasonable way to probably keep track of the times and things. The moon, Scripture tells us, is given for seasons. And so we have a clock above us that God created. And I think man has done a lot of crazy things to confuse the issue of something that should have been simple.
Yeah, the one thing they took from us, astrology, because that's the actual knowledge of time. It's what we need to relearn to actually know where and when we are.
Right, exactly, Ceres. It's almost like they and whoever they is, the shadow government, maybe it's Jesuit order, you know, the Illuminati, whatever, they,
The dark forces.
the dark side, yeah, they want to obscure the past and wash over history and change our perception of reality.
Yeah.
He's actually put a link to that story that I was saying about in the chat. You know,
And they've
the
done
man
it
and
so
the top.
well. We believe that we've been to space and the moon. And then we're watching a NASA live feed of astronauts outside in the vacuum of space.
Yeah, well, if anybody's seen what a vacuum does to a soda can, not only does it split it open, but it freezes the liquid inside afterwards. And that's a vacuum that is like created on Earth. That's nothing like they have supposedly surrounding the ISS, which is close to almost an absolute 0 degrees. And absolute 0 degrees just simply means that there's no particles, so-called particles that don't exist rubbing together causing friction. I mean, the whole thing is a bunch of nonsense.
Anyway, even if they got into the vacuum, actually coming out, they'd shrivel. And I mean, I've made a little video myself, again, about when that astronaut supposedly went into that vacuum chamber. And what it is they say that they have made the same conditions as on the moon. The astronaut is not bouncing around in there. And then they said to him, We'll see how long you can stand it. That's what he said. We'll see how long you can stand it. How could he say that to a man that's supposed to be be an astronaut in a suit? Let's see how long you can stand it. So they already knew it wasn't going to work. So they're lying again. I can play it if you want.
No, I've seen it. The last person we put in a vacuum was 1964-65, Jim LeBlanc.
Yeah, and what happened to him?
Then we almost killed him. That's what happened to him. We almost finished him off. And it's simply because just being inside a suit's not going to protect you from even a weak vacuum like they had back in those days. You're going to die. Your saliva is going to boil. All the oxygen in your blood is going to cool the one spot.
You know, I know that's a bit over the top maybe, but when Arnie was outside and he couldn't breathe, his eyes wanted to explode, you know, like that's what it would be like because there's no air. For a human, that is, for a human.
Right, and even a tin can like the ISS, that it would implode immediately to fill that vacuum. And even besides that, they claim it's not a perfect vacuum. It's not at absolute 0 degrees, which is an absence of the so-called particles. There are particles up there, so traveling 17,500 miles an hour through any particles is going to superheat you and shred you, much like our SR-71 would come in glowing a little bit red hot, simply because its propagation through Earth's atmosphere. Just everything they say makes absolutely no sense when you look at simple physics and understand how things work.
It seems everything they say is an excuse to not give us the truth.
Right, and you can't move anything 17,500 miles an hour through any type of particle. It's just simply you're going to superheat it, and the thing's going to melt and come apart. I don't know why people don't understand this, because we had the same issue with the SR-71, which was flying a lot slower than supposedly what the ISS is sailing above us at. So just the whole space concept. I mean, I was looking at David Weiss, we know who he is, sent me a video the other day from Miss Bling Bling ISS BS or whatever her name is, but she caught them once again in the ISS faking weightlessness, and the guy reaches his hand up through the ceiling. Well, that's because they're using the Microsoft HoloLens technology, and that technology uses 3 different screens. So you can have one guy, and then you can superpose the body on top of that guy through a hologram, and then you can actually have the guy manipulate an object in real time, like he's holding it, but then you can switch that object immediately into the other video frame, which is rendered by software to cause a weightlessness effect. And in this NASA video, you can see they screwed up because they overlaid the frame where the camera was interpolating the hand. So you see all these white dots around the hand, around the ball he was playing with, because that's all they do on the ISS. They play with toys and balls that show you that they can float and spin things and manipulate water in 3D space. That's basically what we're spending money on the ISS for. And you can see the tracking dots on the guy's hand, and the guy's hand going through the ceiling there, simply because he went beyond his boundaries. I mean, it's so blatantly fake. And when you understand video game technology and like telemetrics, who NASA's working with, and even VR things like Leap Motion, which actually sits below your hands and maps your hands, so you can manipulate things in 3D space. The technology is there, and it is just so blatantly obvious that they are faking everything. And you know, NASA does not try to hide this. I think that's another thing that people don't understand. NASA's not like hiding it. They still didn't take down the video of the guy going by in the wires. That video's still up. The guys,
they really count on our gullibility.
Exactly. That's
what they do.
Yeah, exactly. They already know the population is indoctrinated. It is a big psychological psyop. And they already realize that the people that see the guy going by on the wires, they already understand that people are going to say, well, he's wearing a utility belt, or B, he's exercising. Okay, so we have exercise equipment on the ISS where we hang you by a wire and just drag you back and forth, and that supposedly gets you exercise. And that's the excuses people will make for their captors of their minds. And that's what our government has. To indoctrinate somebody, you need to A, give them in a closed space, and you need to constantly feed them the same thing over and over. And that's what they do to the children in our school. The moment you get in that classroom, that globe is sitting there, and you immediately become indoctrinated year after year, day after day, to believe that you live on a spinning ball flying through space. But the whole facade comes down once you start understanding truth and you want to know truth. And see, a lot of people don't want to know truth simply because saying it is a spinning ball makes them safe in the fact that there is no creator or creation, that they themselves are subject to man and not some higher being. And that's the way our government would like it. They want people to believe that everybody is subject to man and not a higher being's ideology of the way things should be. And so man will stay in control of the general population. And this is why we have Russia, China, Japan, Europe, the United States all working as one and together, understanding that particle physics is a complete wash. It doesn't work. But all these other little countries don't understand that. And they're trying to do new things with particle physics that's never going to work. They're never going to discover anything new. They're never going to advance like we've advanced. They're never going to understand the world they live in. And everything they look at through a telescope is going to look exactly like what they were told in college and in school, and not look like what we know it really is to be, which is light propagation through a projected field of some type through our magnetic universe.
Yes.
I'm done ranting.
Yeah. It's time
I was
we got
listening there.
into
I
the
was
free energy
listening.
part. Yeah. It's really time we got to the free energy part, actually getting independent and decentralized and not government, govern yourself, self-government instead of hierarchical government. Because who the hell is on top?
I say if
Nobody
you're
knows.
self-sufficient, you're not dependent on anyone. It's the way to be, isn't it?
In that sense, we all have our own personal connections to the Most High, and we just don't take that path. We're just so confused, feared, manipulated through all kinds of seduced, all the methods we can imagine just to keep us from it. And we start as unconscious children, and that's where where the parents should have the responsibility of actually bringing the children up to the adulthood instead of kept by society as their child, of society as the parent for humanity, and keeping humanity itself always a child, always in chaos, always divided, so that they can control, so that they have conquered us.
Right, and you can conquer.
It's all against our freedom, and the free will is the one thing we got from the Most High, a free will, and not a free body. Another word for will is body. And claiming ourselves is one thing we probably need to do, because we never done that.
But to have free will, Ceres, you need knowledge. And so when you have the world governments...
that's what they kept from us.
Exactly.
They've stolen the keys.
Because Jesus said the
Don't
truth.
go in themselves and let no one in.
Exactly. Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Freedom comes with knowing truth and knowledge.
Yeah.
And so when you take away... See, here's the thing. You tell somebody... like NASA's article, they're talking about the portal to like the North Pole to the sun. Well, they say this is electromagnetic wave because the electrons, which are particles, do this and this and this. Well, here's the thing. There possibly could be a portal, some type of effect like they're explaining. It could work electromagnetically like they have explained it. But when you add that element of electron, and everybody knows electrons are real, they're particles and have mass. When you add that element of the electron in, Nobody questions that. That is going to change your whole formula on how it actually really does work. And so when you introduce these monkey wrenches into the truth of real science, and nobody questions the truth, then you're not going to build what you can possibly build and get your free energy, because you're still trying to get your free energy through some particle system. And there's absolutely no particles, because nobody's seen a photon, nobody's seen an electron, nobody's seen any of these things. And so you keep the whole public and the rest of the small world countries under your thumb by propagating the wrong thing, teaching the wrong things at school, and giving them only the knowledge of observation, but not the knowledge of what it really is.
Yeah, always the how, never the whys.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you seen this, Mike? Have you? The going back to you were talking about the space station earlier. Have you seen? Can you present that, Karen? Because this would be a good one for Gem Panda as well. They're in the chat.
Yeah.
You should talk, you're the focus.
Yeah. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right, you see that, Mike? Because this is from the spacewalk, the 360 spacewalk. This is. So this is their footage, what they've presented. And that is Florida. Right, how high is the space station supposed to be?
Well, the space station's only as high as our highest balloons will go.
Yeah, but what do they tell us? How high?
Well, it's 400 kilometers up, 249 miles up, I believe.
Not 1,533 kilometers then?
No, not even close.
No, because that's what that's working out at. You know, so just
Florida would be
this
tiny.
is laughable, you know.
Yeah, and we've known this for a long time. They used the same technique when they did the Discover and the Challenger launches. They would cut from their model scene of Earth, and then they would show us high altitude balloon footage where all of a sudden ours covered in clouds with the real balloon footage on a convex lens, and then they'd switch back to their model where there's no clouds and just wispy clouds rotating in the background. This is 1980 cinematic technology they're using, but they do the same thing. They present us a high altitude balloon distorted photo and say, well, that's this high up in the air, but we know for a fact Florida would be like super, super tiny if that were the case, if they were at the distance they said they were. And see, people are not catching this. And like I said, I'm just very concerned about a lot of people in our population who are not able to at least pick up on some of these things and say, wait a minute, hey, that doesn't make sense. And then they go from there, and then they have to ask the question, why do they have to fake space? And the obvious answer is we can't orbit Earth according to orbital mechanics given to us on how satellites work.
Different ways, either balloon or a reflection, electromagnetic reflection. That's where they need the heart for. That's why they did these particular explosions high in the sky, to energize that layer, so we can use it as a dish. And we think we're going to a stationary satellite, but it's just reflecting on the firmament back to the Earth.
Right. I was reading a document.
That Earth-based antenna, you know.
Right. AIM technology created reflective mirrors in our atmosphere through our magnetic field to reflect back signal and waves at a distance, I think, is up to 200 some miles.
Yeah, it's all far above the flight zone, because you need a certain distance to obscure even whole football field size balloons. If they're far high enough, you can't see them anymore.
No, and you're not going to
Speck of light, but that's.
you're not going to see Mars, Jupiter, or any of those other planets either millions of miles away. We just don't have the lens technology to do that. And so obviously they're not that far away. They're just lights or luminaries in our sky. And, you know, like looking at 40 here, this is a picture from a weather balloon that was cropped and doctored up to do this photo here.
It's funny how they say it's the ISS is a football field, as big as a football field. So that's why you can see it. But when you're on the ISS, why can't you see a football field on the Earth?
Right, and put that in perspective. Right, 747-400 is about the length of a football field. If you want to put it in perspective, really you're trying to find. When they say football field size, they're trying to make it sound like it's really honking huge. And in reality, it's no bigger than a big jumbo jet airplane. And you're not going to see that airplane at 240 some miles above you. That would be impossible. And also people that have supposedly taken pictures of the ISS and have video of this, because they're right there when they plane is going to pass by, it appears like a green little light going by. And the ISS has no external lights. Yeah, ISS has no external lights. Yeah, exactly. It's just a projected light.
They always make a rainbow picture. You know, you see always a rainbow light.
Right. It's not
a clear object. It's always, yeah. It's
not even an object. And besides, it takes 17 seconds supposedly for the ISS to fly over Hawaii. Well, you know, these people have like a minute footage of this going by, and that's also another impossibility. But they're told it's the ISS, and they're told it was going to be there, and they have their cameras out and their telescopes, and so they're, I guess, yeah, they don't question. You know, they're not thinking. They're just there to see something that they were told would be there, and then they see the light and they go, "Oh, I saw the ISS," and then they come on our channels and say, "Well, I got ISS," you know, and then it's really hard to explain to them. No, you didn't see you didn't see a football field flying by or a jet-sized object. You saw something that they put there for you because they told you it was going to be there.
Yeah, I've even seen a special app that keeps track of the ISS. Well, the whole sky, but the ISS happened to be in there as well.
Well, NASA's whole beehive, so-called beehive of satellites, just wouldn't work anyways. These things would have smashed into each other and caused all this debris, and then you got debris flying around at 19,000 miles an hour. None of it would work.
Especially when they go releasing them like a wild rabbit, you know. Did you see that one the other day? They just sort of let it go off of that 360, just like releasing a wild bird or something.
Yeah, you know, and even the fake X or SpaceX, I might say, you know, to think they can take a tube and flip it around and land it, that's just pure. It's crazy. You can't do that. The physics won't allow it. It's just all CGI, and yet people believe that they are doing that. But it would be impossible.
Just yeah, it's not a globe. Despite what Gem Panda and all the rest of them keep yabbering on, you know, that's just the distraction. They just need banning instantly.
Yeah, but I have to say that he wasn't doing anything tonight. He was just sitting in there peacefully. We've changed channels, which is why he's there now. With like, he can come in because, you know, obviously changing channels, there's all these people that can just come in, can't they? Because they were blocked on the other one. But he wasn't actually saying anything today.
Yeah, but we all know, you know.
Yeah. It's so hard to be peaceful, isn't it?
Well,
yes, somebody in chat said they were booted from a concave or a site. You know, there's really no reason to argue with concave earthers. They do have some good points concerning North and South Pole because nothing flies over center of either one of them. And it was actually Lord Stephen Christ got my attention about this when he jumped on my channel. about that. And I started looking into it, and I started realizing, wait a minute, if it's the azimuthal equidistance, why aren't flights going over the North Pole constantly? And Europe was going to do that in 2011, but that same year, NASA comes out with this report saying that any commercial flight flying over the North Pole would experience dangerous levels of radiation. And it's kind of weird how, you know, when Europe's wanting the permission to fly over the North Pole, NASA comes out with this brand new information. Oh yeah, you can if you want, but your passengers are going to be irradiated and horribly maimed. And so that plan was scratched because no insurance carrier is going to tell NASA they're wrong and have their passengers exposed to these supposed high levels of radiation. And so, but there's no reason to fight with the concave earthers or even hollow earthers. I mean, because they're looking at evidence too, and they're interpreting things the way we would interpret information. It's just that they're not. They have their mindset it's going to be a concave earth. They have their mindset it's going to be a hollow earth. And in the hollow earth, there's angels, aliens, and Bigfoots living there that we're going to meet someday. And so they don't want to take that fantasy thought away from themselves. But, you know, everybody, these people still understand that Earth is nothing like what they have told us in school. And I think that's an important start, and there's really no reason to argue with the concave earther or a hollow earther.
It's funny that they don't take that beyond the poles from the square then. Eh? If there is something hollow or concave. It's getting pretty confusing with that hyperdimensional nature of this all. It's practically a hypercube. And try to think 4D. And then making yourself the center of it. Because you're in this toroidal hypercube in that sense. Yeah, hard to describe what it then is. To bring it over in a way that somebody else can understand it.
That's it. I'm not looking.
The only way is actually to bring them in it.
Well, yeah, that's it. I haven't been doing it as you've been doing it, Mike, through scripture. I've been doing it as just observation. And like I say, the only thing so far that works for me with scripture is heaven and the earth. And you're tying the two. So to me, it's like a code. I'm decoding scripture.
Precept on precept, line on line, so that it may be snared and taken. Just to let it survive so that we can actually decode it at the end.
Yeah, I mean, you guys go that path. That's great. You know, for me, I take scripture just literal. Like Ecclesiastes 1:5 says the sun sets, rises again, and hastens back to his place. Well, we know for a fact the sun does repeat and reset somewhere. You know, Psalms 19 says the stars, sun, and moon travel above earth to the end of heaven, and we know heaven, it was spread out by God over the earth, and that's where everything ends. That's where creation ends, and that's where the sun, moon, and stars end, and they restart again. And so, you know, so I look at things as like not a code, but as just like the written word of what is said. You know, in the beginning, God said, "Let there be light," and He separated the light from the dark and called the light day. Well, we know that our noble gases get charged and give light and diffuse light as the magnetic field of the sun passes by. That is a working theory, at least. And so we know that daylight could have been created in Genesis before the sun was made and set in the heavens and the earth, or in the firmament. We know the firmament, God said the firmament, according to 1 Genesis 20, it extends up to where the birds can fly. And I had a problem with that scripture for a long time until I'm seeing these pictures of the sun under clouds and all this weird stuff, you know, Karen was talking about and things. I'm thinking, so I went back and looked at that scripture. And then I realized after we talked with Ceres, yeah, we're looking at a projection. So yes, the moon is in our firmament up to where the birds flies, according to Genesis 1:20. So that's where the firmament starts. And so that's how I kind of look at scriptures and tie all the scriptures together. Of course, the earth is fastened at the corners, and it's stationary and not moving. So, you know, we have those scriptures also. And we know by other scriptures, like in Daniel, the tree where every person on earth could see the tree, and if something was tall enough, you would be able to see it. So,
yeah, there is a lot. There's truth in it.
Just going to get a quick drink. Excuse me for a moment.
Mike dropped out. I guess he's going to run his grandmother to the store. I want to get the drink.
But yeah, I look at Stephen's work, you know, with the concave Earth stuff. See, Goxie does. Like, I think you got to, because you need to look at what they're doing and see how it works with what you're doing. And like you say about the planes not really going over the north, that makes sense on the Ceres map, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would be a waste of fuel. I mean, if the photographic dimensions are correct, then it means that it is nowhere shorter than 40,000 kilometers or 25,000 miles to go around. And I wonder if if the north or the south is smaller, then you should be able to actually catch up with the movements, because that way is shorter. But so far, I haven't seen anything confirming that.
No, I'm going to try with the camera. Catch up with the moon on the car or with the motorbike, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that catch-up of Owen's failure, yeah, that practically proved how big our perspective bubble is. And it can't be the Earth. So that it's smaller than the Earth.
Yeah, you can't see.
The complete circumference. It's smaller than the Earth. The bubble itself is smaller than the Earth. So that doesn't work if you can catch up the speed of the spin. You can't drive 1,600 kilometers an hour. Well, some things can maybe, but yeah, to catch up that particular speed, and if it's done in average 80 kilometers an hour, that makes the bubble way smaller.
That's it takes the sun 24 hours to go around you, not around the Earth.
Yeah.
The Earth's not 24,000 miles round. You know, it's a lot smaller, isn't it?
No, it's 24,901 miles finite in an infinity loop. Because you can loop that part over and over and over. And it's funny how the photograph just connects, no problems. Seamless connection between east and west. And then next to the photograph, you can't morph it into anything without destroying your own reality. So that's the last thing I'm doing. And then only through mathematical tricks, but just transform one to the other, making it possible to destroy reality. Because that's probably their setup. But they need reality to put it up. They have the raw data. They just don't show it. You have to dig for this data.
Yeah, they're not going to tell us anything.
And the only thing what actually gives the true dimensions are the photographs, and those are the ones who are only requestable through XYZ coordinates. The rest of all the data is all GPS. So you take the XYZ coordinate system as your base and translates all of the GPS coordinates back to the XYZ coordinates. So you can plot everything in what the photographic reality is. cruelty. Let's eat. What is his name?
Yeah, stop sharing that a sec. Let's just go back to that. I think we'll be ending soon, won't we? Won't be long. It's just something, definitely something to think about with that fence. You know, we're all in this together. We're all on that island. Everyone that is a flat earther or is questioning the globe, even Lord Stephen Christ or whatever he wants to call himself, whoever wants to call themselves whatever, we're all on that island if you don't believe in the globe.
Trying to get Flat Trotter on the panel.
I've been trying to. It's quite difficult getting him on. I've already invited him 3 times.
Yeah, it's through the Becca chat. It's probably possible just to add him. Like last time.
So Mike didn't come back then. We have been going for 3 hours. I think that Stan should end the hangout on what he was talking about to start with.
Yeah, we just got to crack heads, get on, you know, question everything. Otherwise we're never going to get anywhere. We're going to end up like these two. Sat there with all the answers and just can't put them together because there's a fence between us, a divide. And it's just an illusion. It's not even a real fence. You know, we can make it to the next. Who knows what's next, you know, after this. We could work something out and then be like, holy hell, you know, there's something bigger to this.
Right about that.
Let's see if it works. Yeah, oh no, that's Mike.
Well, we're going to end now, aren't we? So, because we've been going for 3 hours and
Let's
yes.
tear down the fence.
Yeah, let's end bashing down this wall, you know. Like that man there, absolutely having it. That's me. That should be all of us, you know. Tear that wall. That wall actually came down. Yeah, that was the Berlin Wall. That was a real wall built to divide people, and the people had enough and tore it down. See better of it. So yeah, I'm happy to end it on that. I'd like to thank everyone for listening, staying.
Oh, thank you, Stan.
Yeah, thanks to you, giving me a chance to tell everyone, you know.
Oh, I love your work. We know you've worked really hard. You know, like having Aaron yesterday, you could see how much work he's put in it. We can see how much work that you've put into everything. and really appreciate, you know, because you've seen something. And there isn't many people talking about these cameras, are there really? Urba says that he's going to get one.
Yeah, it's all new stuff. Like 2 years ago, we didn't have none of this stuff, you know. They're new. They were quite expensive. Now they're relatively cheap and easy. So it's affordable.
So, Stan, on those words.
Yep. Cheers, everyone. Thanks
Everybody for watching. And we're back on Thursday with Mr. Thrive and Survive. There's Patricia. Patricia. I think everybody can see. Anyway, flat earth hugs for everybody. Peace. Love you all. Thank you for watching. See you Thursday. Oh no, we're back tomorrow. We're back tomorrow night at 10:30 with Robert Forsh. He's got a few things he wants to talk about. Hour and a half, something like that. Anyway, see you tomorrow night after all. Anyway, and good night, everybody.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Stan.